Probably.
Yeah, they got like 19 or 20 million bucks to do some major stuff over there. Well, here he is. We'll ask him. MB said you had to resign from the school board over in Mancos, or you did resign for
Yes, sir. I had to resign in order to
bid on some of the
Yes, sir.
bid on some of the work over there.
8 years is enough.
That was a thankful job.
Yeah.
It pays so well.
The pay was really good, but you hated to leave it, didn't you, Monty?
Yeah, 8 years is plenty.
I think all you get is mileage.
Yeah,
I don't think I
I
can.
don't think you get that.
Hell, I didn't even take their per diem when we would travel
Yeah,
because they just
don't have the
I
money.
say, our budgets were tight.
Kim, is one of your people coming for a
Oh, Melissa,
oh,
so
she's on it. Crazy.
it was my understanding that we were going to have this discussion at the same time that we had the agencies here.
He wanted to have it beforehand, and he may want to do it again next week.
Okay.
Maybe
He
want to
wanted
come back.
to meet before, remember?
He wanted to meet just one-on-one with
Yeah.
us before.
All right.
And he may be back next week too.
Yeah.
She's on her way.
Okay. I'm glad that someone else has memory lapses.
I think we're all in that
I was
club.
going to say, the frequency is all, the only difference is the frequency. Yeah.
All right, everybody, if you would
Morning,
rise
John.
for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Pledge
allegiance
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
John, we're going to have to get us a black.
I was just
Oh.
Yes.
where was our memo?
We missed
I
the
thought
memo.
we had been doing this long enough, you guys would catch on. But apparently, we need to start sending out notifications.
James, why don't we go with the weather report first until Malinda or Lynn get here? So why don't you come on up?
We want to do the minutes first?
Oh, well, let's do the, I guess we can do the minute. Well, go, you're all right, come on up. Commissioners, have you had the opportunity to look at the minutes?
Yeah.
How did you,
The minutes for proceedings of the Board of Commissioners of Muscanell County, Colorado, August 28, 2017, be approved.
I'll second that.
motion and a second to approve the Board of County Commissioners minutes for August 28th, 2017. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, James?
Okay, not very happy news for August, in which the monsoon season largely failed. We can go ahead and look at that 13-month summary.
This one? Or the other one?
Well, we were
The other
hurting
one.
there.
This one?
Precip.rtf. Yeah, this one right here. Okay. Okay, grand total of 28% of normal for August, compared to last August, which was a nice generous month. So only 0.41 inches of precipitation. We had a high pressure ridge stuck over the entire west. Feels nothing but essentially hot, dry air. Really hot on the west coast. San Francisco set a new daily, well, his all-time high temperature record of 106 degrees. Normally, San Francisco has a cool marine climate,
Oh, yeah.
thanks to the cold air currents, the cold water currents in the Pacific Ocean. But it's been really hot there. Portland, Oregon, 102 degrees. Seattle, 98 degrees. But for us, it's very weak, and so far, September is not much better. We're only 8% of normal so far through the first third of the month. So we've just been getting very spotty precipitation. For the year, thanks to the generous winter we had with precipitation, we're still 120%, 121% of normal. But yeah, things have been definitely too dry. The 30-day forecast. is forecasting above normal temperature. There we go. Above normal temperatures for us. And the Eternal Optimist calling for
Atta
above normal
baby, that's what we
precipitation.
like to see. That's what we like.
Yeah, it'd sure be nice if that comes true. We certainly don't have a promising start to the month with only 0.12 of an inch of precipitation, only 8% of normal.
And that's for September then?
That's our sneak preview of September so far. The first 10 days of September, just 8% of normal.
But that map is for September.
But that map is for all of September. So we better be back playing some catch up the rest of the month to make this forecast come true.
They're wrong down here.
Yeah,
I think it's a little darker green than that.
yeah. Thanks to Hurricane Irma, that certainly pushed them well above normal. 90-day outlook, above normal temperatures, well above normal. It's forecasting, and precipitation. Equal chances of above or below normal, so essentially near no precipitation they're calling for. A little outside about Hurricane Irma, that was an enormous hurricane. That one hurricane is larger than the entire state of Colorado. That's how big that storm was. And out in the Atlantic, there's a joker in the deck called Jose, Hurricane Jose. They first expected it to simply recurve, stay out into the Atlantic, but now it's got no steering currents to guide it at all, so they're expecting to do a wide loop and then start drifting toward the mid-Atlantic coast, like North Carolina. It's a star almost as powerful as Irma was. Irma had winds up to 185 miles an hour. Jose has winds up to 150 miles an hour. So let's hope that stays well offshore. We've had enough problems with Houston and Florida. And looking at the drought situation, we'll see really quickly why Montana is having so many huge wildfires. Here is a large chunk of Montana in exceptional drought, even wide area in severe drought. So they've got their problems up there with the lack of rainfall. The wildfires, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, Washington, Oregon, wildfires, even California still has some wildfires too, even though their drought situation's been relieved. Colorado, we're sitting here pretty nice, just that little section right there, light, just a moderate drought, and the rest of it abnormally dry. In northwest Colorado, for the rest of us, we're not in a drought situation at all right now. So there's our situation for this next week. It looks like the monsoon is still not going to get reestablished, calling for no more than a 30% chance of precipitation on Thursday, 20% chance the first half of the week, and then sunny and dry for the last half of the week. Temperatures in the upper 70s to low 80s. Getting less sunshine each day now, so temperature's not going to get as hot as they were a month ago. So there's our situation in a nutshell. We need to get monsoon better established. And of course, nothing happening for snowfall yet. Too dry. That's our situation.
I was with some commissioners last week from Oregon, and they said that they got 175,000 acre fire there on the coast on the rainy side. They never have
On
that.
the rainy side. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, reflection of the
It's so bad that they don't even send the kids to school
No kidding.
because of the smoke.
Smoke and stuff so bad.
Yeah, we've seen it smoke and haze out even as far south as here in Cortez.
Oh yeah, that's been smoky
A
for
couple
a
of
couple
mornings
of
I've been
weeks.
able to smell the smoke coming out to us. So yeah, that's smoke.
Of course, we got a
spread all
little
over the
control
west.
burn up there going on that boggy fire that the Forest Service is letting. They said
Okay.
up until I don't know when, but it's been burning pine needles and undergrowth and stuff, and they were real pleased with it, I think. But Melissa said it'd grown to what,
Until
900?
930 acres is what
So-
they put out Saturday.
So
So-
they're watching it, but it's growing, yeah, it's growing a bunch, so.
It looked like a
Yep.
huge fire Saturday afternoon.
Did it? Hopefully they ain't gonna let that thing get away from them, but
Everybody in the room do a rain dance.
Thank you, James, for that.
Yep.
We appreciate that. Lynn, would you like to come up and tell us about your special event permit?
morning.
Morning, how
Hi.
you doing?
Good, how are you?
Hi,
Good.
Lynn. Good morning.
Morning. So special events.
Who are the Mancos Valley Resources? What group are they?
They've had these before, it's just always been within
The town?
city limits of Mancos, so. And actually, I'm just pulling up the caboose end of this project, that's why. Malinda had kind of got it all set up and
Yeah.
everything.
So where is that location? Is that the 41460?
There's actually a business and a personal residence at that spot, and that's why there was confusion with the address. They had already talked to Leanne. Malinda had spoke with Leanne and stuff about that to confirm the address. It's actually taking place at the business address, so that is the correct address on there. I personally do not know where that's at. Like I said, I'm just kind of pulling up the rear since Melinda's in treatment today. So,
There's a little map.
yeah, there's a map there, yeah. It's the second page, I believe, second or third page.
Was this like a fundraising event or something, like a wine tasting or something up there?
I would assume that's usually what they're for, is some sort of fundraising.
It's not a
event.
bongathon, is it?
No,
Okay,
not that
I
I'm
just want to
aware
be
of.
clear about that. I want to be clear about that. They found a bunch of these illegal grows, man. They found a big one out in Dolores County, and where'd they found another one? I mean, thousands and thousands of plants. I mean, big illegal grows.
Wow.
Just recently?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just this last week.
I'll move that the application for special events permit by the Mancos Valley Resources for an event to be held at 41478 Highway 184, Mancos, Colorado.
September 30th. September 30th?
September 30th, 17 be approved.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the special events permit for the Mancos Valley Resources, 41460 Highway 184, Mancos, Colorado, for September 30th, 2017. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Right here, I assume.
Yes. Do you want me to send that and send it to you? Okay.
All right, thank you, Lynn. All right, at this time, we'll have Monty Guiles, the owner's rep for the combined courthouse, come up and give the weekly report. Morning.
More money.
Morning, sir.
Good
Ma'am,
morning.
how are you?
I'm good.
Well, we got our TCO Friday. The furniture's going in, finishing up. There's everything to finish. And I talked to Eric. I spent the morning over there this morning. I talked to Eric some. Furniture's here. He was pleased that he has 2 more trucks coming. Painters are there. Finishers are there. It's just finishing it. So I'd like to also personally thank Commissioner Ertel for stepping in and helping with that TCO, because I was banging my head against the wall. And Mr. Shane Hill and Sam Proffer, although they were always accommodating with my visits and Eric's visits, it produced no move forward. And thank you for stepping in there and helping with that situation. So beyond that, it is what it is. We have a very small little list of items that are still outstanding in the city's eyes. I talked to James this morning. None of it seems to be. It's mostly finished stuff. Getting red lines for this, getting a red line for that. There was some question about an ADA compliance issue, but you know, they were out there and measured the forms before it poured and
Right,
approved it
right.
before we poured it. And then when Mr. Torres did his walkthrough last week, actually graded it and said, well, it's very close, but it's in compliance. But they still put it on their list. So James's question specifically is,
What am I to do?
what do you want me to do with that item? So it just seems as though, but we're getting there. It is
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah, we
And
got it.
we're moving in, and now we can
Good.
hold court on Monday. And I know that Eric has, his benches showed up today, so that was a big relief because there was some question on that. So those will be installed in the next couple of days. And it's just starting to look like an empty office over there now. Furniture
So will they
everywhere.
actually give us an actual certificate of occupancy when they think their checklist is done?
Yes, ma'am. So we have a TCO, we can move in, we can do everything. Yes, ma'am, that's accurate. And the items that are on there are benign. It seems as though it's more finish the file, which is peculiar. I mean, it's not typical other than here. Because you don't normally get red lines for a project until weeks and weeks after. I mean, the fact that we've gotten red lines to them at this point is just a testament of James and Humphrey's Polly of pushing every consultant. And every consultant's like, what do you mean? I mean, we're still not even there. Yes, we want the red lines as part of completion. So that's a whole nother story that we can go into in great detail at some point. But it's just been banging your head against the wall. But
Are you coordinating the Masonic dedication?
that's on the opening
whole-
day,
yeah,
right?
the
And then I need to get
11th.
with Eric.
I think it's the 11th?
Right.
Yeah.
Several of those items are actually going to be, 22nd District and SO items that are, just who has that. On his TCO was, who has access to this and that and this plan. And, that's just going to be who gets keys to what kind of a deal. But yes, that's right. I need to get with Eric and see exactly, when the Chief Justices, when you gentlemen are going to speak, how he wants to set it up, how you guys want to set it up. So I haven't seen any format as to, the hierarchy of speakers and so forth, and when he would want to do, or you guys would want to do, the dedication to the stone lots. Not or not, but when.
I think Commissioner Supervisor would have to be somewhere else.
And I'll be here.
If you don't. Cool.
So that would be a, go ahead, John.
That water line easement, Ernie can't do it this week, but next week he's going to go out and check it out. He can't use the drawings we sent him. He said he has to physically go out there and if he's going to sign off on it. So he's going to do that next week.
Yeah. So again, just a paperwork issue to get finalized.
It was interesting on Friday when I was out there speaking with Josh and kind of finding my way around with what was going on. The sheriff's officers were all out there and they were all getting trained on the x-ray machines and the security and stuff coming in. And one deputy commented, he says, this is the best equipment that I have ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think they were all real tickled with what was being provided for them there to do their security in and out of that building.
I was just playing with those rollers a while ago. It's got a conveyor belt and everything. Looks like an airport security.
I know, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
it is. That's
pretty
what it
fancy.
reminds you of, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's exactly
airport
what it
security,
reminds you of.
so-
yeah. Well, they were very pleased with it. They were
I think
getting
that's-
trained and all that on it. So
I've heard nothing but good comments.
Good.
I mean, everyone thinks it's
I'm
a
glad to
beautiful
hear Eric
facility.
and them are moving, but they're ready to go and they're getting
Yeah,
stuff
everything's
in there.
going, and he should be okay. I think his last piece was these last couple of loads of furniture that he was worried about, and the benches, and those pieces are done.
They're
So
done. Great.
there's going to end up being a couple of acoustical panel issues that no one will ever notice, even if we did nothing. But those panels had to be remade because we Dennis and I rejected all the panels in the whole building. So a few of them had to be remade, and they come out of Florida, and they've now been pushed. So, but it's gonna, you won't know where they're even supposed to be because it'll be painted to match, and you know, when you walk into something, you just assume that's the way it was designed. So it won't be a...
But ultimately, there'll be a few of them changed out.
Yes, sir,
out
that's
there.
right, that's right. Quite specifically, above the exits from each courtroom, there are 3 joinery joints, and right now we only have, you know, we wanted to match the joinery with the panels, and they just used 2 big panels and had 1 center joint. So right now it'll be 2 center joints, 1 center joint, but at the end, you know, it'll be, but no one will ever notice these kind of little details. But it's
Okay.
The courts are gonna close early on Thursday and then open back up on Monday.
Monday.
Great. Yeah. Boy, it sure looks nice, man. I mean, it really is. It really.
Kiva came along. Now that they framed out that window in the front and finished that iron, that plate work there, really has nice. Now the doors are starting to operate the way they're supposed to, and you don't see wires hanging everywhere. So, I mean, it's just finishing.
Yeah.
And we
It's just
took
a big
out the
push.
one tree, so we've got that one.
As of this morning, that tree still stands. So it has not been removed, but it's to be removed, and I think the solution there has been that they're going to leave. They're going to bring in mill fines and bring it up. Pouring concrete over it wasn't an option because they would be covering irrigation valves, irrigation fittings that you wouldn't be able to access under the concrete. So the solution was to pull the tree, bring it up with mill fines up to
Where it's level with
where it's level, and then we're also going to densify the plantings in there so that people don't have the want to step in there. So there won't be the depression if
Won't
they
be a
happen
drop-off
to
if they
step
do.
in it, and then the deterrent will be that you don't step in a flower bed. So
Will
shrubs.
they have to put that tree somewhere else? Or what?
yeah, they'll put it somewhere else.
I went out there Sunday, and so there's 4 dead trees, and I was wanting to know, is there a guarantee the James's construction equipment is all gone, and there's also where they called it the concrete river, where somebody could trip and fall in front of the kiva. They said they would put a rumble strip so you would notice it, and that hasn't been done. So I was wondering, have we paid James in full? And if we have not, I would suggest that we don't pay until we get those things done.
No, we still have all their retainage,
Yeah.
and we haven't processed the final payment. And then the trees, I'm told, are just molting early, changing early, going away early. And of course, we have the same warranty on the trees that we have on everything else. So if in the spring they don't leaf back out, then they'll have to replace those trees. So I'm told that they're just changing early, that they're not dead.
They're not dying. They're just.
And I would have to disagree, being owning 3 landscape companies, that 4 of those trees we're not going to leave out next spring.
And if you're right, then they'll just be replaced. I mean, we have the same warranty on the landscaping that we have on everything else. And if we replace it,
Is there money held back for that, or how does that work? How do you? It's always been my experience, if you pay somebody in full for a job, they don't ever come back.
well, we have to pay them their retainage once the job is over with, and then I've certainly hoped that they contractually live up to their obligations in the warranty period.
I have grave concerns about somebody tripping on that, what they call that concrete waterfall, because it's going to be open for business, and the way that the sidewalk is set up, that is, they're going to walk right where that ledge is.
You mean right in front of the handicapped area?
Yeah, it's where those handicaps.
Sidewalk
go up on
leads
the
right
side,
to the
and
parking
you've got
lot.
that
There,
4-inch.
what James was directed to do was to highlight that with safety yellow, top and bottom, a couple of inches all the way across there. Now,
They haven't done it yet.
Right.
So when are they going to do it? Because if court's open, would you say on Monday?
A week from today, it'll be running.
Sometime this week.
I know a parking lot, you go to Walmart, what does everybody do? They take a straight shot of whatever it is to get to their car. And the way that design is everybody's going to funnel right to where they're going to trip. I'll just guarantee it. It's the nature of the human being that they are going to walk right where that handicap deal is to get to their car.
I don't direct their work, but they know what has to be done before court opens.
Okay.
So I think that they know that's there on their radar. It's on one of their punch items. Dennis and I are going to do a final punch walk for them on Friday. He's flying in, so I suspect it would be done by then because it was a punch item.
I know I'll have to replace those trees.
You got any cherry trees laying around, bud?
Oh, and the solar, where's it's not in either.
No, solar's not in either. That's something that the gentleman from Yellow Jacket is working with James to get that done. I suspect that'll get done after we're open for business because he hasn't seemed to be. There was one question about whether or not he could work for James because of an insurance requirement, and that still hasn't been put to bed yet either. So the option on the table was everything's there in place for him to do it. He might have to contract with the county to do that. Because if you don't have a
Yes, like
certain...
the installation and stuff of it or something?
No, sir. The general comp, GL and workers' comp. He doesn't carry sufficient limits for James.
Oh.
So he can't be on a James property now. That was up in the air. I haven't gotten a final resolve on that. But the answer to that was that would be pulled out of James's scope if he couldn't meet their insurance requirements and the contract with the county if he could meet our requirements, which I don't know what they are. But it was a GL and workers' comp issue.
Surely we can overcome that $50,000 versus 15 is quite a bit of difference. So the contract that wanted to do the solar for James was $50,000 from Albuquerque, and he's 15.
It's again whether he can meet their insurance requirements or not, and if he cannot, then he can contract directly with the county. If you guys see fit.
All right. Anything else, Commissioner?
I don't have anything.
No.
Thank you, Monty.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Monty.
Yes, sir. Thank you again, Commissioner.
Yeah.
All right, at this time we have public comment. If anybody would like to comment to the commissioners, come up to the podium, state your name and address.
I'd like to read that letter that we got. Where's that letter we got?
You want to read the letter?
Yeah, I want somebody to read that letter. Yeah, I want to make that part of the record. What did you do with that thing?
It's right back here.
Well, man, we can't let a deal like that go. Just, no, public comment, go ahead. I'll do that after. No public comment? I'd like to introduce into the record a letter received from Michael C. Just of Mancos, Colorado. It says, members of the board, I wanted to thank the board for its advocacy on behalf of county residents in the meeting which took place on August 21st, 2017. I felt that the board was courteous and receptive to the issues which I and other local residents presented. It allowed ample opportunity for public comment. I also feel that the board advocated strenuously with the BLM regarding our concerns. Regardless of the outcome of this matter, I came away from the process with the belief that the board meeting was good government in action as well as fair and democratic. I felt like I had been truly heard. Thank you for your service, Michael Just. There.
I have to give that to Kim.
Okay, no more public comment? Anybody? I'll say something, and I don't know if we would have to talk to Jim, but last week I was back in Washington, D.C., and the commissioner was telling me about they integrated, I think he said Skype, into their public comment, and they made it to where you could be at your house and you could make public comment on the screen with your phone or your iPad. And I would like for us to just kind of see if that's possible, if there would be a great cost or no cost.
But it might be something we can incorporate when we move over there.
To the other building.
But they said it was very interesting because, sometimes you just can't make it. And they could they'd pop up on the screen and they would make their comment using their iPhone, FaceTime, or
Yeah.
I thought it was an interesting concept.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, we'll go to Rob Englehart in the road department.
James, right on.
How are you?
Good morning, Rob.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good.
How's your trip?
Good.
Good.
Glad to
She
be
just
home.
increased her family. She just increased her family.
I don't know how many miles I flew, but I drove 1,300 when I was there.
You did?
Oh
Oh my gosh, you could
How
have
many
go
trips up and
back.
down the coast is that? You couldn't find a beach or what?
Never made it to the beach.
You're in Florida and you couldn't find a beach.
I was all over the place. I was a taxi cab.
1,300 miles, that's amazing.
Yeah. And I didn't even run into anybody, so.
Accident-free 1,300 miles, huh?
Wow. Okay, schedule. This is the last week of the same old thing, so.
Chip, chip, chip.
Chip, chip, chip. Last week we wrapped up 23, 22, Nancy and L, so those are all done except for the brooming and the cleanup, which we'll do on the week of the 18th. So you'll see there today, we started this morning out at Road 10 and CC.
Gosh,
So
yeah.
they're off
Well,
and
you're
running.
right on. You're right on, aren't you?
Yeah, no, it's
You're
good.
right on the
if,
money,
if we
yeah.
don't break down or something go wrong, we do pretty steady.
Yeah.
Every day you get 2 or 3 loads a day. So that job's a little bit ironic because it's like 2.2 miles and one tanker is 1 mile. So that puts you in an odd space there. Yeah, what do you do with this load of oil all night? So you got to get just enough done. And since it's only 2 miles, you don't want to come back on it too quick because it's too early. You need to let it cure and cool off overnight. So it's a little bit of a trouble out there, but we'll get through it. But I still think we'll be done. Well, I hope by Wednesday afternoon it'll all be wrapped up. So cleaned up. And then Thursday, we'll use Thursday to probably have some extra chips left out there on that pad that we're using. We'll have to clean that off for the landowner to get started with his hay shed. So we'll probably use Thursday to haul the chips in the Cortez, whatever's left. And I'm assuming there'll be some left. I hope there will be. And then we'll bring those in. And then the week of the 18th, then Cortez District will start off with their crews, and they'll go out and take care of all the driveway accesses and all the little things that are a little bit higher. We need to shade them in and clean them up, and radiuses on the intersections and clean those all up, and sweep and broom all the roads because they're still all running on loose chips right now. Yeah, and for us it's been really good because the temperatures have been high. It's really good to let those chips get ground up and get down in there. So
Pushed into that.
yeah. And the weather forecast this week looks like about the same thing, in mid to higher 80s, and then next week we drop into the 70s and we're done, and then now we can go broom them. Everything will stiffen up and we can go broom them off. So it's all working in our favor. So
Good.
Mancos, same thing with those guys. They'll be going up to Road 42, and they'll be cleaning that off and cleaning up that turnaround up there that we do for the snowmobilers and all that. We got left chips laying everywhere, so I want to get in there with the skid steer and clean all that up and make it look pretty. So they'll be working on that. Jumping on down because Dolores and the Roundup are doing the same thing, although now with the Roundup, the trucks are scheduled to go back out to Road 22. So we'll start graveling out there again as soon as we get the chips moved around. Also, I want to, I can, and it's still dry, get the sand bunkers filled up for this winter. So I've got some sand bunkers at the Roundup and Mancos Dolores and the Roundup to fill up. So I'll probably use bring a dozer in and fill those up plumb full out of our sand up at A-Camp. And then those 2 bunkers will feed Mancos and Cortez this year. Instead of having these big stockpiles in Cortez, I'm going to quit doing that because it just gets wet, cold and frozen. We got these great bunkers at them 2 locations, and we'll fill them up and then haul a little bit out of them during the winter with the end dumps as we need it. So we'll get that done. What else? I got some hauling to do with Road 22, and then we'll probably move towards K3 out behind the Maverick out of McCalmo. We've got enough down in McCalmo. I'd like to wrap that up this fall, and then we'll get back into our, if the fall holds out, we'll get back into our Ormiston run, or 1.5 inches on that. So they'll get started with that, and then crushing, they're going to continue making 3/4. He's got about 25,000 on the ground now since we've kind of left him alone for the last 2 weeks, and so he's doing good. Even though we use their people from time to time to fill in needs, moving equipment or whatever, he's still keeping that crusher running and doing a good job. So they're doing fine. And then Wimmanooch, they got started on Thursday. They had some issues with the jaw. They had to change the jaw die and had some problems with it, but they got it up and running Thursday afternoon. So I talked to them this morning, and they're running this morning, so since the meeting's over, I'll probably head that way and see how they're doing over there. But I think all fine. Alan told me he took a test on it, and he's gonna run a sample on it today and see what the gradation is. And he may have to change some screen sizes there to get to the 3/4 we're looking for, so. But doing good, so.
Good.
Basically, everything's going along the way we expected it to, and we should wrap up, and then just in time for hunting season, and everybody's happy. So.
Everybody's happy.
Yeah. So, CDOT called last week. Kevin Curry has now taken the position of Ed Archuleta. I don't know, have you ever met Kevin in your meetings?
Not that I recall.
He's been around for quite a few years. I've known Kevin throughout different projects over the years, and I like Kevin, and I think Kevin will do a good job. He's a little different than Ed, which is normal. That's okay.
Yeah.
He's a little more quiet, but he's a hard worker, and I think Kevin will fill them shoes pretty well. Or at least I think so. So
Good.
he called, and anyway, he wants to set up a meeting with me or you guys or all of us if we want to. But right now, he's just looking at opening up the conversation again on Road B access from 21 move to B. So I should say the access on from 491 on to 21, move it up to Road B. And we talked about this, 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah.
So that's back on the table again because they're looking at House Bill 267 as a potential funding for that rather than the one.
Passing lanes down
Right,
there.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So that's coming back into the picture
Yeah.
again, and I think Kevin's going to take a run at this again.
Would they
So
upgrade our Road B?
that seems to be the issue. And I said,
There's a bridge there, isn't there?
No, there's not a bridge.
Oh,
Well, there's a culvert, but we
we
want it paved. Remember,
Yeah,
3
that's
years
right.
ago, we wanted
Right.
that paved.
Right.
Or chip seal at a minimum,
Yeah.
because that's what we got. And I said, Kevin, that's the one thing you're going to have to give
Yeah,
up.
we gotta
You can't take this away and get
Yeah,
that too.
we're not
without
going to
something.
give you that. Yeah, take that and.
Well,
close
it's
that
already
road off.
paved all the way through, so
Right.
if we did that without paving it, then we've already got a pavement, and then we would take it away to gravel.
Right. So I said, he says, well, we just can't do that. I said, well, you're
Well,
going to hit some
You might have
resistance.
to-
in
you might
yeah.
have to.
So he wants to meet again and go through it all again, and maybe they can figure out a way to get the funding to do the chips. Paving is a nice thing to do, and it's only what? I don't remember, you drove it with me one day. What is it, a quarter of a mile or something?
Probably not much
From
more than
491 over to the intersection of 21.
Yeah.
It isn't very far.
No, it's not much.
And
at
there
all.
is a 60-foot right-of-way through there. We have plenty of room. At least they could just pay for the oil to
They're
chip
going to
seal
have
it.
to give a little something
Yeah,
if they
you
want
know,
something. If
so-
they want stuff bad enough, they got to.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got to
Yeah.
give a
So how
little.
much
Can you
was
set
it?
it up where we could all meet?
Yeah,
For
I
us?
can. Let me see just exactly where he wants to go with this. He wanted to set up a meeting this week sometime to go down and look at the situation over. He's kind of what he's doing in my mind is he's just getting his feet back into
Yeah.
Ed's job.
Yeah.
He's going to go see what's down there, how it fits, and what's going on, and then we'll go from there. But it's kind of nice to hear that that's back on the board again. He's got to go through some public comments with CDOT, and there's some comments down there for some folks living on Road A that are not wanting to do that, and they probably don't know the whole story and how it's going to work. And there's a left turn lane getting put in with a passing lane, and all these things. Just people just aren't educated
Right.
yet. So
Just don't know what.
he's starting that process all up again. Now that there could be some funding. So just a heads up here. Here we go again. Maybe there's something positive will come out at this time when we move forward. So.
Rob, it sounds like this Kevin Curry is the guy who we want to take with us to do a site visit. Do you agree?
Yes, I would say so.
Okay, good. I passed on that suggestion of ours to Keenan Lovett, and he was enthusiastic about it and said he was going to try to set it up. I might pass on this next name too. C-U-R.
C-U-R-R-Y.
What is the situation there?
We've been having these complaints from G. Willikers, and they gave us notice a while ago that they were going to sue us. They haven't, but about culverts blocking up
Yeah.
their property, and it's who knows whose responsibility this really is, but it's a culvert across 491 that I think that did back up in the past. I don't know what the situation is now. We're thinking about just everybody going out there and looking at it and talking about it.
Because G. Willikers flooded here a year or so ago, didn't it?
For some reason, they think our culvert that crosses the county road is part of this flood, and our culvert was under 2 foot of water like everybody else was, because CDOTs couldn't carry that flow.
Couldn't carry it off.
And if it goes under the highway, then it's CDOT's.
Yes, yeah.
CDOT, apparently, according to Mr. Lovett, who's the attorney for G. Willikers, that CDOT said that the culvert under the highway was our responsibility, which
Oh, really?
yeah. So I think that we just need to get everybody in the
Same page, yeah.
Do we have any culverts to go under the highway there? Well, then how could we have one if none?
Because the foreman for CDOT didn't like the idea of being the only one involved in the lawsuit, and he wanted to throw me under the bus.
You wanted friends.
That's my opinion, you
Wanted
know.
friends with him,
Yeah. He's a good guy. We all get along fine.
But yeah.
So I suggested, John asked, and I suggested that if you stand there and look at it, it's very simple. You know, it's a very self-explanatory situation, but you kind of got to go look at it, because you can talk all day until you go look at it, you don't understand it, you know.
Yeah.
So I think if we all meet down there, including Kevin, I think this probably will shed a new light on the direction that G. Willie may go with their lawsuit towards us, I hope anyway. So that's the point, I guess. So.
Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. I'm glad we're talking about it, because
Yeah,
I get you know, a little worried once in a while. What is going on down there? You know, there's some other issues in that same area that Doug and I want to visit with you guys about, but not today. We need some more information about that access in front of G. Willie, and it used to be a road, and it's supposed to be a road, and it's been closed, and there's a gate, and there's agreements in place from previous board of commissioners and different things, and it's like, oh boy. So Doug and I and Leanne are digging into a lot of old stuff before we even bring it to the table. I couldn't answer those questions if you had one today. So, but it all involves G. Willie, and I'm sensitive to this little situation down there until we get that thing fixed. I don't want to pursue the next one.
Yeah, I don't want to jump into another
Right. So
kettle.
right. So that's where that's at. I'm still waiting for a letter from the Bureau of Reclamation on this water access out by the fairgrounds, or west of the fairgrounds. We're still moving forward. I don't want to move forward until I have a letter from them guys with the agreements in place, because they showed us where they don't want us to drive. In other words, they got fiber optic, they got some electrical lines. I said, no problem, I'm glad you flagged it out. And as soon as you guys give me a letter stating what your agreements are, I'll sign off on it as a agreement to use their easement to back our trucks in on. And before we get that, I really don't want to move forward with it. And I told this to Brandon, and Brandon's aware of this. So we're just, you know, the wheels don't turn real fast once in a while. So we're kind of there. But to be honest with you, I'm not pushing it real hard, because I'm kind of busy, and we want to go out and pothole where this line is, and we don't want to break it. So until we get done chip sealing and get things kind of cleaned up, it's kind of taking a back burner. But I haven't forgot about it, and we are moving forward with it, and I think we'll get this letter from the Bureau of Reclamation and sign off on it as an agreement to use their easement, and we'll move forward. So I think that's still a good deal.
Is MVI involved in that?
MVI is, because they're kind of the lead on the Toyac Highline Canal, so they're helping me with it all. It's in one of their monthly meetings, and you know, they meet once a month. It's one of them, the wheels turn once a month, so kind of deal.
No cogs move except once a
You're
month.
right. So we're kind of moving that direction, and I was never pushing them for that water this year anyway, because we're pretty much done into what we need to do, and I was going to do it next spring, and I got to shut everything down to tap into it anyway. So I'm convinced with the elevation and the head pressure there, we're not going to have any problem loading trucks. So it's just a matter of doing it at the right time. So
Well, they'll end up draining that anyway.
exactly, and that's when we'd want to do it. Instead of shutting everything down and closing valves and trying to tap into it, I'm almost kind of wanting it to kind of go into late September, early October. Get out there on a nice day and dig down and find it, tap into it, get ready to go. So, because I'm not afraid of it not working. I know it'll work. I just need to catch it at the right time where it doesn't hurt
Yeah,
anybody
where it
else.
doesn't mess anything else
Right.
up.
Right. So we cleaned up all the chips out at the Areola Church. We had some chips over there for the last couple of years that we took some of them and put them on County Road 24 the other day. We had about a half a load of oil left over. So we took
nice.
them and
So put a
kind of
coat on that.
seal coat on that. And then took the rest of them and cleaned them all up and got that cleaned up. So that's out of there now. That's kind of in Empire Electric's little corner there we were borrowing. We had our little stockpile area on Merritt Ranches out there, Road 20 and U, cleaned that all up and gave it to the landowner. And so we've agreed with him that what's left is his, which was just a little bit of cleanup out there, and he's happy and I'm happy and everybody's happy on that. So kind of cleaning up our mess as we go over the last couple of years. We did a lot of chip sealing the last few years and left little piles kind of strategically
scattered around.
located around, and it was time to clean them up. So we got that done. So
When are you going to re-chip, what is it, S? Between 23 and 20?
well, 24 and 25.
So that little section, was it water?
Yeah, and you know, when we took the chip seal off of it, it dried up. So that's a sign that we've got water trapped under the chip seal. So we are going to have to go in there. What we'd like to do is go in this fall work on some drainage issues there. Maybe put a cross drain across the road. We definitely are going to have to put fabric down and then raise that grade. And then some of the trucking I would like to do this fall is come out of Warmiston with some 1.5 inches and raise that grade through there and put some fabric down. And it probably won't get chip sealed again until next year. But
That's over by the college?
Yes, sir. Yeah, and we want to watch that. You know, it's actually driving pretty good. If we could, we'll probably fix the end of the chip seal on each end a little bit where they fall off. We can fix that with some cold mix. But when you drive across it at 30 miles an hour, it's actually holding up pretty good. It's holding up better than it did with the chip seal. Yeah, you know, there's no big potholes, there's no mess. You know,
That's not, the road's not changing.
Right. So,
But where it was,
there's no
the
dust.
chip seal
Yeah.
was pretty.
It's weird. It's weird how that chip seal or paving will catch that water and hold it, and then in places you never expect it falls apart. So we know we got some work to do there. We did that on the hill on 22 up north of Areola, and it gave up a little bit. But we put in them big French drains down there, and we think we made it a lot better than it would have been, you know. But we didn't fix it completely either. So even with putting French drains in, so we got one on BB to do too. But I'm waiting for Dole on that one. I'm going to try to catch that on a Dole cycle to help fix that.
For that one hill.
Yeah.
Because it has that water coming across.
Right. So, and we'll probably see some out here on 23. You know, L and 23. There's a lot of these sandstone shelves
Where water comes out.
comes through. We are liable to see
A
some
lot of
there,
that
too.
road on S going out there is on shale. You got on a lot of
Right.
shale and stuff in there, and that's
Yeah.
But there's just weird places that water crops up over there, right north on the highway 145.
Yeah.
Right there past
Right.
by the vet
the golf
clinic.
course. Yeah. There's that. The
Wow.
water just comes out of the,
I think
then it
that's
dries
I
up.
think that's a water leak.
That's the water.
and it's starting to make the pavement a little bit
Yeah.
bubbly. I'm like, I'm so glad that's not us.
Yeah, we have one of them, but you know that intersection over at 24, right by Vic's house. There's a residence that lives right in that corner there, and it's soaking wet. Their yard is wet. Their dogs are running in the water, and there's nothing they can do about it. It's just coming out of that Mancos
Coming
shale.
down off that shale,
Yeah,
yeah.
so-
I'll tell you what,
So it is a mess there. Yeah,
tough
we
stuff to
find these
deal with.
places like that. Yep. So.
Tough to deal with.
So, you know, everything's going along just fine, and I don't know, everybody's pretty happy. Virginia was at a function this weekend, and she had lots of compliments about the chip sealing out in that area. You know, people are pleased, and we get them swept up, and it worked out real well with Four Corners and their work, and, you know, we didn't have any real big traffic jams, and everything worked good. In fact, one resident said, I'm glad you guys waited till after they were done. You know, the public used our roads so much through the summer, it was easy to fix the gravel and not tear up the chip seal. So they were pretty happy. So
Where are we at on the official county road map? I see Doug's here.
I don't
That's our
know.
next discussion. If we
Which one is it?
Was it on?
I don't
We
see it on
don't-
the agenda.
We didn't really put it on the agenda. We need to put the actual official part on it, but do you want to come on up?
Yeah. I do have a document, Dropbox, planning, Dropbox.
Planning?
Planning and then GIS.
Well, I did the, I have this in
I'm sorry,
GIS.
I'm sorry,
This one?
BOCC. Planning, BOCC, and then GIS. What this road specs one.
That one?
So we're looking at, I think when Rob and Melissa and I had a discussion a couple of weeks ago, we were looking at continuing that public hearing for next Monday and hopefully getting that wrapped up. We did have one significant change that we talked about as far as the proposal for the Summit Lake roads, which we'll bring up next. Can you zoom that to the whole page there?
That's what time is that one on next Monday? Is that-
Did we?
We haven't set a time.
Okay, I guess we can
We'll
do
have to
that.
ask Leanne if,
It's on 36.5.
Mhm. Yeah, 35. Yeah, 35. So one thing that we did talk about is there has been some confusion. This ties in with Summit Lake roads as far as what the surface type of the road actually means. I think we know for green sign roads, gravel roads and paved roads are your full county maintenance, full spec roads. we wanted to clarify what it means when you get down into the graded and primitive classifications.
So we want to add these, see where, what he's got in green, add that to the actual
Yeah.
official.
Here,
Thank you.
the descriptions. What my comment was this year was we don't have a very good description of what each one of those roads are. They're all green.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
But
so
they're
they can,
gradations of green, aren't they?
gradations are the perfect word, yeah. Paved, gravel, graded, and primitive means separate, four separate, very significant things.
Yeah,
You know, so if you
that's
buy a
it.
piece of land out on some primitive road and you expect the county to come out there and grade it and
Yes.
gravel it, well, you probably could happen.
Disappointed, yeah.
Yeah, or disappointed is a good word, yeah. Major sometimes, yeah.
Using a nice word.
But if you buy a piece of property on a paved road, you can expect full county maintenance, you know, from potholes to gravel to whatever it takes to fix them. So I think it was time, and with Doug's help, and Melissa too, it was good to put this up there. It's on our maps, and it's on the webpage as descriptions.
Right.
And it might help with some of the questions we have come through the road department, so.
And I brought up to Melissa, and I think you answered, maybe I could, do you think that this is the simplest, cheapest way to do it? I mean, it seems like that it would be easier if there was a different color.
For paved gravel, what you say?
You mean for
Well, like full
full
maintenance
maintain?
or graded once a year, you know, if there was a different color.
I think you can get too busy. My personal
Okay.
feeling, I like green or red. Green tells us we're there, and red says stay away until we get something changes that. But if you've got the solid hash, dot, and then the other one, and you see that in the green, then you can relay it back down to your chart there. It says what type of road are you on.
Okay.
Personally, that's how I feel.
Okay.
I think you get too many colors, it's like a snowplow route.
Then-
Pretty soon, we got all these colors on our snowplow routes for each guy, and it's like, you get dizzy looking at all the colors, you know? You just get too busy, so.
But I think one of the things that we were looking at too, that's gonna cause us some legwork, is also when we look at the red roads, when we add red roads to the county map, is to classify them in what kind of road they are just from our observation. Because, you know, if we have a red road, if I have a county spec red road in a subdivision that has been signed off by Rob that it meets all county specs, and for some reason that needs to turn green, then it's pretty simple. So that we grade the red roads
Yeah,
also
the gradation.
as time goes on, because when we turn a red road to a green road, then all of a sudden everybody thinks that means full-fledged, oh my goodness, look what I'm going to have a paved road here. Like, oh no, it's primitive, and you can't even hardly get a two-tracker down it. So,
But so far we haven't did that.
no, but as we add red road signs, we will
Oh, that's
grade
what
them
you
as
guys are
we go.
discussing, is do that as they,
Come on.
And
Hold on.
potentially go back
Yeah.
to what we have. If there's some primitive ones, we need to mark them as primitive, that they're a long ways from meeting the standard.
Well, one example is there was a subdivision built last year out of Dariola, which they did call us. They got an engineer to design their road and called us, me particularly, to go out and inspect it to make sure it got recorded as a full-fledged county standard built road, which we did. So it's a red road, and down in the future, 10, 20 years from now, at least there's a record that it was built to our standards.
Built to your specs.
And if it ever needed to be turned green, there's one that's open to, certainly to discussion, absolutely. It meets one of those criteria, where there's so many out there that say, well, we're gonna do this on our own anyway, and they stay red, and they build it 18 feet wide, and, you know, there's some out there that do that too, and then they just kinda get shuffled to the back. They're never even built to our standards in the first place, you know? So-
And we're still dealing with that with Summit Lake One, that some of those short little roads, how are they built? Were they never
Yeah,
built?
right.
Even though
Yeah.
this is a subdivision that the county signed off on, and we don't know if they were built to county specs,
Right.
so.
You know, and Rob, that would probably be a very good thing to have when you have somebody come into the planning office, planning a subdivision, for that to be part of the discussion when they're doing that on their roads and their infrastructure, that if, you know, this is what the county specs roads are, you probably would be wise to build your,
Right.
even though it's a red road, it would be wise for you to build it to our specifications so that in the future that could be a
Well,
much simpler process.
One of our criteria sheets that we use to determine red roads turning green is a 5-point criteria, and one of those points is it built to county standards? And maybe 2 out of 10 are. The rest are not, by their own design and their own,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So down the road, if you all want to change to green, you're kind of out of luck already, you
Yeah.
know? You didn't even, you know.
And here's what you have to do to get
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
here's what
Well,
you
that's one
have
of
to-
them, and the other one is several other things, but this
Yeah.
is one of the major ones, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, all new subdivision roads should be built to county road specs. Anything that we review,
Mhm.
might ask planning to describe that process a little bit more, and I guess that's what we're talking about.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there's some that we know that were designed to be built to county standards, and then they ran out of money, and they didn't build it to county
Yeah.
standards, and they squeezed it in, and they shortened it out, and it's not there. And then it was never inspected and bought off on by a county employee, you know, Dean, me, or anybody before us. And those are the ones that we want to be careful with, you know, so. Because 20 years from now, when we're all gone, somebody's going to say, why can't my road be green?
Green, right.
Well, you're like, oh, I guess you can. You built it to county standards, here's a record of it, you know. I think that's fair. So.
Yeah.
So what we're talking about is with the Summit Lake roads, this is kind of why this discussion all.
So it'd be green to the BLM property? and
To the
then red
BLM
rest.
property, correct.
Be green hash, so that would be a graded minimum once a year? Is that what we're at?
That's
Yeah.
what we'd be looking at.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
And there's a perfect example of a subdivision that may have had a designer, I don't know, I wasn't around then, and maybe they didn't build it according to the engineer's plan, and it's not up to standards, not even close. And the money being spent by them, now the county has to absorb to get it to full maintenance, and I don't know that that's good or bad,
That's fine, yeah.
because we don't really know, you know? We're
Yeah.
just sitting out here in a kind of a gray zone, you know, so.
So we did have, on the previous roadmap, we did have this as a gravel road coming down 35.6. What we're essentially saying now is, yeah, I mean, there is some gravel down there, but it's definitely not built to county specs. So we're really focusing more on that maintenance level, and that kind of defines also what maintenance we're going to be doing there. It says it's graded, it'll be bladed, minimum once a year.
Once a year.
But there is no defined snow removal because it is not to county road specs.
Mhm.
But it does open up the opportunity for people to get county materials. It is a green road. It is open to gravel, to culverts, to assistance from us from time to time if they can't handle it.
Mhm.
You know, there's some people live down 41 in Mancos that are doing a fabulous job. I give them a little inch and a half every year, and they're just taking care of that road. It is a green road, but they're getting themselves in and out of there, and everybody's working towards a resolution down there that helps them. It's a good thing, I think, that we do that for the residents that live in these backward places, out and back places. They like the privacy, but they get a little help, you know, so.
Well, I think
I
you
think
commissioners
that's
on
more
board with
fair.
this?
Now,
Oh, yeah,
one other thing though is we're not including 35.9 or
Right, you're
30.
leaving that as is and on round in and all the way up.
Yeah,
That's staying.
you
yeah,
guys
I
have the
hear.
power to fight that battle,
Well,
not me. So that's something you'll decide, but
Yeah.
that's all we're looking at is that road right there. So.
There's a lot encompassed in here, and if you zoom up to Summit Lake 1, pan up to Summit Lake 1 here,
Right, okay.
I am including P.35 and P.4, which were on there as red, but they were accepted by the county commissioners when this plat was accepted. So therefore, by nature, that those already are green because we've already accepted those as roads, but we are putting them on as the unimproved roads. We don't know if they don't really have drainage structures, they're not built in any sort of manner, there's no implied maintenance.
Yeah,
on
they're
those.
gonna want all the maintenance if you turn it green, which we have to do. I understand that part, but we have to explain to them, which is what this whole thing is about. You're not on a road that's up to full maintenance. You're on a graded road, for instance. I don't care if it turns green or purple. You know, here's where you're at, so they have to understand it. And that road is a terrible little road, you know, so.
And
Is this just a map of that?
just that one?
35.9 though, also, weren't all those roads supposed to remain open to the public? And
Yeah.
so
That-
the commissioners still need to make that decision whether or not we're gonna change the to
Right.
green and then just label print, right?
Right. and
Or
that's-
leave them
or
red?
leave
Leave them
red.
red, yeah.
That's the recommendation, after we hashed and discussed this for the longest time, we were reviewing the recommendation to pick just that one section green and leave the others red.
So if it is red, does the public still have access?
Yes.
If it's
Still a
red,
public road.
Not necessarily,
Not-
it's gotta be green, and I think that those things are, by law, they're green. So
Well,
we're gonna have to,
John, that's not necessarily true, because the subdivision gentleman who subdivided this property and did all that infrastructure said they were public roads.
right,
So even though it's a red road, I think, don't you have that same situation in your subdivision, Greg? They're red roads, but they are still open to the public. They're not, they can't go down there and put a gate down there on County Road N right after our new green section.
so they're not
It's
gonna
still-
be, okay, so
it's still
basically
public-
it's just some sort of generic public easement, is what we're kind of interpreting that as, saying that even if it's private property, they could then change their minds though, wouldn't they? I mean, I would think if they're privately owned.
What, the road?
Right.
But the road isn't privately owned. It was a subdivision, a road built by the subdivider to access those lots, which he determined it to be
Right.
open to the public.
I think we ought to label those green then, if they're open to the public, not privately owned, but label them primitive, so that we're not doing
Any maintenance on them?
What does that do to the guys that have their gates? Because when they turn green, I almost have to enforce that
That's
rule.
what you do.
I mean, I really do. If they're,
Right, they can't have gates.
if they're red, I don't even look down.
Don't
It's
even-
none of my
Exactly,
business.
see, that's
you
the
know?
difference.
Yeah.
If they're red, then they're gonna say, no, these are red
Yeah.
roads. privately
But
owned,
the-
put our gate on.
But the plat does say that it's a public
So,
road.
the public-
It's open to the public, yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think you have to label them green, say they're primitive, we're not gonna do any maintenance on them, but public has access.
do primitive roads get access to county materials?
Yeah. Yeah, no, once it's green, once we
So once it's
roll
green.
green, we've always said if it's green, you're a county road. That's how we say it. Whether I'm right or wrong, that's how
Well,
we do it.
I mean, that's why we're really clarifying things. There's two things. There's green, it's a county road. We're saying, yes, that is public access road. There's no closures, there's no gates. And then there's, at the discretion of the county commissioners, you will decide what surface status that is and what that is really entitled to. Because we do have roads that are very much unbuilt. You probably can't even see them. They're really primitive roads, and yet we're retaining that right of way.
Just to me, I mean, so all the plats are different, correct? I mean, some of them don't say public access, and they're red, and they can put the gate.
Right.
But this particular one has a plat that says, I mean, it seems like if you follow the rule of law, the plat says it's a public road, so we need to comply with whatever the plat is telling us.
We haven't accepted them. The commissioners at that time in 1974 had not signed that plat. So in my mind, the county hadn't yet accepted them by somebody else declaring them.
It's a two-way, you have to offer and accept two parts of it?
I don't know.
Oh.
Whereas in some, like one they did, the commissioners basically said yes.
But these down here, they did not.
The
Some at
35
least
acre
two.
plus.
Yeah.
So we could have a 35 acre plus subdivision come in tomorrow, we'd never even see the plat, just because somebody
That's right.
There's one-
dedicates it as a public
there's one on
road.
Road 18, yeah. I didn't even know they were building it, because it's 35 acre lots.
35
But
acre
once we
lot.
get knowledge that that's formally what's on the flat, it's a public road. You know, it's filed,
Mhm.
and I think we can take an action and not accept it, say, no, we're not accepting this, you know, it's not gonna be a public road, you can't just give it to us. But I think we have to make that statement explicitly, that we're gonna not accept it.
So in this particular, this is weird because the plat, can we accept one section of the road and not the others?
And I don't think we should. I think that they've said they're open to the public, and we should make them green, or, you know, we do something similar to what we would do if we were going to abandon a road and say, okay, fine, it's red, we're going to leave it red, you guys can put your gates up.
Can we do that against what the plat says? Can we do that even though the platted road says it's open to the public?
We could. We don't have to necessarily accept it. We could, but I don't, I'm not suggesting that should be our course. But I do, I mean, we can abandon a road. You know, there's a process for that. We say
Yeah.
we're gonna have that hearing.
Distance.
I think unless we do that, we correct it to green, because that's what it should have been, was green. But we label it as primitive since it's a primitive road and it's not built to specs and we haven't been maintaining it.
But that then opens us up to having to, being able to provide them gravel and
It does.
other kinds of stuff that we would not normally do.
Right, right. I mean, I don't know if they're going to want to do much more to the rest of that road, because they want to keep it as private as they can, it sounds like. I mean, they want gates on it. There is a gate on it. It's
Well, one guy has a gate right now, and he doesn't.
Yeah.
Well,
Which,
Which, you know, with the red roads, we've never argued their point, because it was kind of like, that's their road, we just didn't go any further, you know. And
But you
some,
put a gate on a road that says that it's a public road on the plat.
right,
he did.
he did, no, he did. We just don't recognize it as a public road because it's red, that's all. It's just a thing, you know, it's just a thing. We drive around, see red roads everywhere, and you don't turn there, you go on by, you know.
Where is the gate?
Is this somewhere down here or up here?
Somewhere up in there, because he doesn't take him back into BLM. It's your marker. I think it's, as I recall, it's like right in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't go back to public lands anyway. So his point is why you got people wanting to come up into my world? How did I get involved in all this? You know?
Because it doesn't really access
Yeah,
BLM or public.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just a plat now. It's a legal thing. So I don't think the cattle guard does him any good. You know, that's good. I know we do that from time to time where we won't allow gates across county roads. We'll help or assist or even be involved in cattle guards.
Yeah.
But it's always just for livestock control,
Yeah,
nothing else.
not for automobile.
Him is for privacy. Yeah.
So, in order, because what the plat says, we would have to make 35 and 36.6 green.
Right. And they just label it primitive,
And it would P2 be in that P2, P3?
probably.
Yeah, because those are all, yeah,
Yeah, part of
P3, P2,
And if
those
it
are
was-
all given
And
to
if it was labeled that, could he still have his gate there if we let him?
No. Oh, no.
Not unless you do a variance, I guess. I mean, I guess we can do anything we want, I suppose, at some point.
How far is the gate at? Where's it
I'm
at?
not sure. I never went to the gate because that was a red road. I didn't want to get shot. No, I'm just
But
teasing.
I think it's
But
that
it's
last,
serious. I mean,
that last property.
we
owner.
respect their red roads, you know.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't have a gate there, because it's not supposed to be a road.
I understand, yeah.
That's why we've had a lot of discussions on this area.
I'm a bucket of worms.
Yeah. They've been good discussions. The people have been good, so. Good points.
Well, I guess it goes back to the rule of law. If the plat says that it's a public access, then how can we say it's any different?
I don't think you can. I think John's right. It's public, open to the public. That's what it says. Unless we change the plat.
Just don't want to overly muddle the whole green road, red road situation with people have been
Right.
so clear to what is county owned and maintained and what's not. Now here we have, okay, it's county owned, but it's not maintained, so it's, you know,
Yeah,
some other color that's not red or green. It's almost.
Yeah, but this is a situation that the plat says.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
Yeah, I don't understand how we can, if you have a law, how you can just say, well, this is a part of the law that I'm going to follow, and this is the, I mean, this is almost sound like the federal government now.
I wonder how many red roads we have that actually say the same thing. We just never think about it. You know?
We've never seen that.
Yeah, I mean, how many red roads actually say open to the public? May not be necessarily open to the public, but it's still open to the public. You know, they kind of go through life with their private little roads.
But it's not much red roads. There probably are some out there.
Yeah, I'm curious how many.
Well, I guess this discussion is going to continue on Monday. Is that correct?
No,
Are we gonna?
we're gonna have to
Are we
attend.
gonna?
Top for next week. Grab her.
What is she? One road, and I know that we're run over our time, but is the road down there by the Bernard Carwick property where we had the problem with the Yucca house, and there's a gate across it? Is that road red or green? And how far does it go past the Cardwick's property?
It's
green. And it goes to where it turns north into that other route.
And that's a draw. I mean, what can you describe? It's been so long since I've been down there.
It was on Road B, right?
B, right, yeah, they're by, what's his name's place?
Drew
Oh, Drew Gornier's, yeah. Yeah, it goes down another half a mile, I think, maybe, across the draw. It gets very narrow and very rough. It's just a dirt road, you know, and goes down past there, and then it comes to the Ute property, I believe. I believe the Utes own it from there.
Could be, yeah. Could be.
Which is about a half a mile, if my memory serves right. Then that was where the access was. It turned north back into that Yucca House area. That was the way they tried to set that up at one time.
Right, so it's a green road.
Yes, sir. It's like a road out in your district out there north of Lewis or Cortez. I mean, Yellow Jacket is just a dirt road, except it's really primitive. If you don't be careful in there, you get in trouble. So, yeah.
And we do have that set at 1:30, continuation at 1:30
Next Monday.
next Monday.
Okay.
I was
For
with
the
a
fun.
commissioner out there in Washington D.C. last week, and I was telling him about this, and he says, in Montana, we take whatever access we can get.
Period.
Period.
Before we end our discussion with the road department, I got this postcard from a gentleman named Earl Thomas Tafoya. He says, I'm writing you to thank Montezuma County's patronage to Denver. You have admirably agreed to send 50% of your road and bridge enterprise funds for the next 35 years, and all to build a 2-mile toll road with a park on top of the highway. I know you have bridge needs in your county, but y'all have chosen to build in Denver. Please stop this boondoggle and stop kids from playing on highways. All the best. So have you been notified of losing your road and bridge funds for the next 35 years, or 50% of them,
No.
a reduction, or
No.
okay? Well, I'm going to give that to you. And
Is this like a scam or what is it?
no, I think it's an organization of people in Denver that do not want that Interstate 70 where they're taking I-70 off of the elevated.
Yeah.
Just a better way. Yeah, just a
Getting our
backdoor way
attention.
of getting our attention to
Politics.
the fact.
Isn't it politics?
Could be. Could be. Okay, as long as you're not losing 50%.
Well, I don't know. Isn't that what that last TPR meeting they talked about House Bill 267 does? Isn't that kind of...
That's where they're mortgaging all their buildings and stuff to fund some of this.
Maybe we are losing a part. Vote for HB 267. There you go.
All right, we better
Right now?
move on. Thank you, guys. Thanks, Doug.
Right here?
And
No.
Oh.
thanks,
To you.
Rob, for a very interesting conversation.
I really didn't have much to talk about today.
Well, we opened up a few things.
At this time, we'll have the veterans monthly report.
Good morning, Rick. How are you?
All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning. All right, good morning. Melissa,
Good morning.
members of the public, welcome. 3 minutes, here we go.
3 minutes. Wow, boom, bada boom.
That will be fine. This is the report that goes to the state office. And let's see. Even though it's all up here. One for the commissioner.
Okay. We'll take care of this first. I'll move that the Department of Military Veterans Affairs monthly service officers monthly report and certification of pay for the month of August be approved.
There's a motion and a second to approve the month of August for the Veterans Affairs Office for Montezuma County for 2017. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, commissioners, and we'll get that up to the state ASAP. Last month in October, we saw.
In
I'm sorry.
October,
I love it. Visionary.
Yeah. We're going to see 300 people next month. Last month, we saw 250 folks in August come through our office. That's veterans, survivors, children of veterans. Whereas the previous year we had 252. So we lost a total of 2 clients over the previous year. However, last month we had 31 new clients. Usually we average about 10%, which would have been about 20 to 25 people. But we had 31, so we're always excited to see new visitors come through our office. We did 3 nursing homes / house calls, attended 2 events out in the community. We filed a total of 18 claims.
That's a big month.
Yeah, it was pretty. It was really busy last month, which we enjoyed that. And I think last month I also took off a week. I think I went to Texas or something. Or was that I don't know. Time flies. So, but we had a lot of traffic. We had 13 claims that were granted. Again, those are claims that we did not file last month. These are claims probably that we did late last year. Yeah, that finally are being worked and decided. Those 13 claims generated a little over $17,000 in new monthly income. Hopefully, if I did my math right, that'll come out to those folks. We'll get about $205,000 a year. Hopefully, they'll spend it here in town. And those 13 claims, those vets or spouses, some were widows. They received $117,000 combined if we put them all together. So we're always excited about that. Year to date, so far in 2017, we're looking at just under $90,000 in new claims in monthly benefits, $1.077 million a year. And those people that have won claims this year so far, they're looking at a little over $500,000 in back pay or retro pay because it takes the VA so long to decide their claims. The only other thing that I have is, it happened in September. Last Tuesday, day after Labor Day, we had the state service officer come down, Renee. She gave us training, and we're always excited to host the state. They come down and they do the southwest corner, and we stepped up. Come on down, we'll do it. And we enjoyed her company. She tells us the latest happenings at the VA and at the state level. So we had Dolores County VSO there, Sarah, John, myself, and Archuleta County veteran officer came over to visit. So they're always happy to come over here. They get free lunch. One of the things, I'll leave you with this before you have any you might have any questions. The only thing she mentioned was there's a survey now. The commissioners know that I have a little in-house. It's about a half the size of this. It's a little survey, and it kind of let our office know things we need to be working on: cleanliness, courteousness. Are we meeting their needs? How they find out about us. What you're looking at here is the deputy director at the state level, Colorado Division of Veteran Affairs. The lieutenant governor asked them for a survey, and what they wanted was for vets to go online on Survey Monkey, I think it's called, and do about 3 or 4 page survey. You know, a lot of veterans, I would venture to say a lot of the general public's not going to go on and do a 3 or 4 page survey. I mean, people's time is valuable. So anyway, this is what they came up with, and they want us to see if we can help them by sharing this with our clients at the county level. I mean, I don't see a reason why not. I mean, if it's okay with the commissioners, I'll start using this and then give up my little tiny one, and then I'll share this with the state, and then I'll submit it with the report that the commissioners sign. So the state level will basically get input on how our county's doing, and they'll share that with the lieutenant governor's office. That's the one that spearheaded this survey.
Does it say which county it comes from?
Well, what it says is the service officer.
Okay.
So when they put Sarah or Rick or John, and really I'm the only certified service officer in the county, but I'll make sure I'll handwrite Montezuma.
County?
Yeah. So that
we could probably put Montezuma County right here.
Oh yeah. So we'll go ahead and do that.
Give you credit.
Yeah. Although they're very generous up at their state. They know that we're doing good work down here. So, but yeah, I mean, if it's okay with the commissioners, I don't mind sharing this information. It's very generic, and the veteran or the surviving spouse, they don't even have to put their name on it, just like ours. But most of them do. Most of them put their name on there. And any comments, they did a great job, Rick was upset he had a bad weekend or something.
Rick was very short with me today.
Yeah, that could happen. But no. Generally, we try to be nice with our clients. Although I am pretty tough on our vets, they know that. I don't sugarcoat stuff with them.
Yeah.
I tell them the truth.
Tell them the truth.
Yeah, I tell them how it's going to be and what the realities are working with the VA or the state level. So if the commissioners don't have a problem, I don't really have a problem.
Looks like a decent little.
It's not that
survey
big
to
a
me.
deal.
It's not that
And
big
then
a
I'll
deal.
share the originals. The commissioners will still get the originals because I'll digitize them, and all this stuff gets emailed to her anyway. Diane Ricci, she's the deputy director.
Yeah. Have you heard, Rick, when they plan to get that VA hospital in Denver completed? Has anybody given you any ideal?
No, not really. They don't, they send out emails periodically about that. I mean, I can find out if they're I think actually at the last training session, what they said was parts of it are open and they're transitioning different parts of the hospital in. And employees, as they hire employees, I believe it's a lot bigger, but they already have started. And I'll send you an email if you want of what they've done so far, if that's fair. But parts of it are already being opened. Yeah, they're doing, and I'm sure they'll eventually have like a ribbon cutting, but they're doing transitional. So I forget what they call that, soft openings, where they
Piece of hardware,
yeah, they
piecemeal
slowly
it out.
opening services, getting the people trained up, stuff like that. So I didn't quite make 3 minutes, but
I had a neighbor stop me on the road and tell me, he says, "Where did you find that guy? He just met with you."
he left the
recently."
Hurricanes.
And,
Yeah.
well, I said, well, apparently you took a wrong turn.
Yeah, I ran away
But we
from.
won't let him leave.
I ran away from those hurricanes. I don't.
You aren't missing that, are you?
I do not miss the
You're not missing that,
hurricanes.
are you?
I was
Yeah.
giving you a good compliment.
Well, thank you very much, Commissioner. We love what we do. I think it's apparent to most of the folks, so we'll keep at it.
You wouldn't be seeing that many people if you weren't doing it.
No, the
doing it
word
pretty
gets
well.
out.
Yeah.
The word gets out. We're excited. We love it. Have a good team. It's a team effort. So.
Good.
Thank you.
Good deal.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Yeah,
Have a great
thank you,
rest of
Rick.
your week.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
October will be upon us real soon.
All right, we'll see if your prediction comes true.
All right. Pressure's
All right, we have Bobbi Locke, which is the Health Department Director, for her bi-monthly report. Hi, Bobby.
Hi, how are you doing?
Morning, Bobby.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Melissa. And I saw you had the 2018 proposed budget listed up there, and we're not doing that today.
Oh,
Remember? Right?
well, we'll take it off. It just was on the,
Well, originally we were, but then,
it's not going to happen today.
right. Okay. So.
I
Okay.
always ask her for a one page and she's down,
Well,
she's
but
got
I,
3.
no. I'm only going to talk about the ones highlighted in yellow. See? I'm teachable. I really am. Okay. So, all right, we'll do that first. So I was just going to focus on the 2 that are highlighted in yellow, and the rest is just for your pleasure reading to update you on all the programs and what we're doing. As far as consumer protection goes, Melissa just got back from that training in Eagle, and they covered a lot of topics. And they're all listed there: the vaccine preventable disease, outbreaks discussed, protocols, talking about when you exempt children from those, the chemicals in the schools, infection control, proper PPE equipment, all of that. And what I found interesting is the fact that we are now in the process. We haven't finalized our decision yet. We hopefully will do that this week on our administrative assistant position. But by having that position filled, this is going to be something that Melissa's going to be able to work with the schools and educate the schools on all these factors that she has not. This is one of the many things that she has not been able to do, but this is going to be really important. So anyway, that's one of the things that she was able to do last week. And as I wrote there, have been interviewing last week. We interviewed several people. We had a lot of applicants, but we interviewed several people, and we're bringing a couple folks back tomorrow for an additional interview.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully we will have that decision made this week. And then she also is meeting with the Board of Realtors in October to talk about the possibility of the title transfer inspection program with the on-site wastewater regulations. So that's kind of what's going on with consumer protection. And again, I thank you for allowing us to do this position, because it's gonna help tremendously. And our dental program, we applied to United Way and we were awarded approximately $3,000 from them. We haven't seen that money yet. That doesn't come for a little bit, but we have been awarded that to help purchase some portable dental equipment for our schools. We currently have equipment, but it's not portable in any way. And we lift it in and out of the vehicles every single morning that we go to the clinics. So, and we have to put it in the vehicles, unload it at the schools, put it back in the vehicles, unload it at the health department every day.
So did you leave it at the school then?
You
or
can't.
what? Oh.
You can't. There's only a rare occasion when we can do that, if we're at the school like a couple days in a row. Like Manal, we're there 5 days a week this year. So we will leave if they set us up in a place where they don't need to use it and our equipment is safe, we will leave it there. So anyway, long story short, we're going to use this money to purchase real portable equipment that's lighter weight, more compact. It's meant to be moved, so it's not going to break as easily. You know, it's built for that. So
you're in Manoff 5 days a week doing
this year,
dental
5 days.
stuff?
yes.
Really?
Yeah, we're in Lewis, Areola, and this year we're going out to Pleasant View because we have, usually we combine the two at Lewis because there's usually only a couple Pleasant View students. Well, there's like 15 this year, so we're actually going to go to Pleasant View. We just got a contact. We're actually probably going to go down to Battle Rock because we've heard that there's students down there that they're interested in us coming down to Battle Rock. We're first time ever going into Cortez Middle School this year. And we're at the Cortez High School. We've been at SWOs. We're in Dolores. We're in Mancos. We're all over the place. So our dental program has definitely been gaining ground.
Is that a self-sustaining program? Does it sustain
pays
itself?
for itself for now. And we also, it helps by applying for these additional monies, like this $3,000 from United Way, and then the state
5,000.
contacted me. Actually, the state oral health division director called me and had some money that she wanted to give us for a project. And I said, well, we really asked for $8,000 from United Way, and we got $3,000, so $5,000 would be beautiful. So we already purchased the equipment. She's sending us the $5,000 so that we will be able to purchase all the equipment that we need for the school clinics. So anyway, our dental program is doing great. As far as the dental assistant goes, what we ended up doing is we have 2 registered hygienists, but one of them is also a trained assistant before she went back for her registered dental hygiene. So she is working 2 jobs for us, essentially. She's working as the dental assistant with the dentist when the dentist is with us, and then she works as hygiene when she's doing hygiene. And then we're going to have hygiene going on in our department when there's hygiene going on in the schools, because we have 2 of them now, so we can do both. So we're trying to meet the need of the community. So it's definitely grown and continues to grow. So those are the 2 that I'm basically going to talk about, and we have made kind of an internal switch. Ashley Moreland, who was our WIC supervisor, high-risk nurse, is transitioning over to Nurse Family Partnership because Debbie Myers is retiring. This Friday is her last day. So Ashley is going to take over the N.F.P place that Debbie had, and then we are hiring a nurse for the WIC program, immunizations, and HCP. So basically to fulfill Debbie's role. But in WIC, I have moved Delilah to the supervisor role of WIC program, since it does not have to be a nurse that does that. And that way, that position seems to change a lot, but Delilah has been there for a long time, and I think it will provide stability for the WIC program. So.
Will it be hard to find a nurse to take?
No, well, it is always hard to find nurses, but we interviewed, and we have someone coming back today to work with us a little bit to make sure it's a good fit for her and it's a good fit for us. So we're fine tuning that. So hopefully this week, by the end of this week, we'll have both positions filled. So that's kind of my update as far as programs go. As far as the actual budget piece, where we are as far as revenue, and I pretty much we are ahead of the game based upon percentages. I mean, we're at almost 75%, and this only counts for part of August's money. So, as you look down the right-hand side, I mean, you can see our dental program and our hygiene program you can see that they're booming.
On the screen is
Yeah. Oh, okay.
When you say ahead of the game, you mean that you feel confident that you'll come in on budget?
Yeah. Yeah. Because
that
we're
they'll bring
overall
in more money.
This is just revenue. Yeah.
So at the top.
Yeah. Oh no, the final? No, it's at the bottom right.
Dental is right here.
Yeah, dental's at the top where it says 98%. see the 98% is dental, meaning the dentist, and then the one under it is the hygiene. So the
98
85.
and 85.
Yeah. So, and this is only, it doesn't count. We just started September, so. So that's kind of, I think that we're on track with all of our programs. And if you scroll down and you look at the septic permits, you can see this also supports as to why Melissa needed the help.
145%?
Yeah. There's a lot more septics going on.
With that, and
It's always, a lot of times it's, like if you look month-wise, it picks up spring, summer, obviously, how many septics there are. But still, it's more than each year it just goes up. And up.
so is that percentage used for the percentage from last year?
No, that's a percentage of what's predicted for this year. So we're already over our predicted
By a bunch.
amount.
That means there's a lot of new construction.
Yes. So, or new septics anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe septics are going bad and they're putting new ones in. So that's kind of my summary on that. Do you have any questions about kind of any of those programs in particular?
Commissioners?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, cool. All right. So the last thing I have is our WIC contract, meaning signed. The typical 4 copies. So this is for our women. This is for our Women, Infant, and Children program, the nutritional program for families with 5 and under. We will be getting it's for $116,421, which is what we currently work on as well. And they divide it into fiscal years, but they're anticipating it's kind of a placeholder. That's why on the very first page of it, it looks like it's fiscal year 18-19, and they divide it, but they have to hold the money planning to give it during those 2 years. So anyway, because their fiscal year is October 1 to September 30. So I know there's 3 different contract years with us.
Have you
So-
had any word on your grant for the van? The
No,
mobile van?
no, and I'm glad you brought that up. Other than we had a call with the Colorado Health Foundation, and our grant manager is very much in favor of awarding us, and she was going to her committee and recommending that we get it. So all that conversation came out with good news, but it's not totally solid yet, because she said, any of their superiors can nix it if they decide not to fund it. But we did some digging on our local statistics, and in Montezuma County, only 46% of the eligible population that could be on WIC are on WIC. So there's a large population that are not tapping into a resource that they're eligible for.
We had the same survey on our food stamp program too.
They correlate.
Yeah.
So, using a mobile van to go to them, wherever they may be, maybe that will help these families, access something that will help them be healthier. So, I don't know, but it's certainly worth trying. Other communities have started doing it, so I think we can prove that there's a need in our community. So anyway, we'll see. We should know. Their final meeting was going to be the 18th of September, so I would suspect by the end of next week we'll hear if we've been awarded that van or not. So anyway, okay.
I'll move that the contract between the CDPAG and the Montezuma County Health Department for the WIC program for next year be approved.
Second?
There's a motion and a second to approve the WIC contract between the Montezuma County Health Department and CDPHE for the year of 2018. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So Melissa, you have already hired the position for Melissa?
We are bringing 3 people back tomorrow to make our final decision. So but I'm sure that we'll make a decision.
That sounds like you had quite a few people apply for that.
Yes. Yeah, we spent all day beginning at 7 a.m. on last Tuesday interviewing. So, yeah. We had a lot of good applicants.
Who did that survey that showed you how many, 46%
For WIC?
for WIC were in need or were eligible? How did they term that?
46% were on, let me get it right. Let me make sure I don't flip it.
Thanks, James.
I don't know if I put that on here for WIC. I didn't write it. 46% were on WIC. So that would mean that the rest of the population are eligible, but not tapping into the resource. So more than half
Right, so.
aren't tapping in.
How
And
many,
so-
how many participants do you have?
I didn't bring all those
514.
numbers. Yeah,
500.
but that's the existing. Those are the people
Right.
that are on.
So that's
So
the
there's
46,
46
so the
So there's 1,000
Yes.
out there that
Yes.
should be
Yes,
taking
'cause there's
advantage
about-
of this, that they're
right.
not, why aren't they taking advantage of this if they,
There's, I think there's a lot of reasons why people don't. Sometimes it's transportation. Sometimes it's pride. Sometimes people don't want to
Right.
have the
Right.
services, or because it's just.
yeah.
It can be those reasons. It can be, having to go to an appointment. Sometimes people don't want that. Can't
Who
handle the
did that
structure.
survey? The state?
Yeah, this was data that we got from the state to help us support our application for Colorado Health Foundation for the mobile van. Because when we had our conversation by phone, she asked, "What are your statistics of the unmet population? There's a need. We know what the total need is. These are Medicaid eligible folks in the community, but why do we only have this many of that population on WIC when there's this many people that could be on it?" So that's where the data came from state numbers. So, because they're the ones that have the total. I mean, we can tell what we have on our WIC program, but we don't know what the unmet without tapping into the state for that information. So we can guess at a lot of possible reasons, but oftentimes, it's transportation. I mean, not everybody lives on Montezuma Avenue. They live way out in the county, and if they don't have a car, or they don't have a car seat, or they don't have, lots of reasons that they don't come, or they don't have money for gas. So there's could be lots of reasons why. So that's what we're, and until we hook up with them and have that conversation, we can't ask why didn't you get on here sooner? So anyway.
All right. Thank you, Bonnie.
Thank
Bonnie,
you.
I mean, Bonnie.
Yeah, that's all right.
I see Bonnie, so that woman's out there spraying everywhere. All right, at this time we have the High Desert Conservation District. Are all of you going to come up? Anybody with a black vest, come forward.
Maybe I'll just get in the hot seat.
We've got extra chairs if you all would like to, if you guys would like to come up. Come on up.
Morning, Steve.
Come on up.
Morning.
Hi. Yeah. And we can bring another chair here.
We have Steve Miles and.
Hey, how are you doing?
David
Good
Temple.
to see you.
David Temple, sure.
Lawn Barnes. We got a whole board here. How
Nice,
about that?
that's pretty darn good.
How are you doing?
Joanne
Well,
Chisel and Suzanne Aiken.
Yeah, nice to have you.
Easy on that one. No problem. That
We'll have to
one,
talk about Macomb Water.
this one's one that's plugged in, is that right?
Yeah, I'm trying to.
I'm on your side.
That one has the ejection seat in it.
Yeah.
That'll blow it up.
We're here to kind of give you a little update on our summer activities. We appreciate the support you've given us, and I think this kind of demonstrates what we've been doing. I've got some slides here, maybe,
It's loading.
of some of the workshops and stuff we've done. And but we continue to sponsor and work with the School to Farm program, and that's in about all the schools. I know last weekend they did a lot of harvesting, and we're at the farmers market, and First Southwest Bank was going to match everything, all their sales. Yeah.
Wow.
to help keep that program,
Mm-hmm.
Funded. I thought that was pretty good of them.
Yeah.
We're still working with the high tunnels, and we're planning on doing our Master Steward program again this summer. It's every other year. We put it on as a 9-week, 1 night a week course. And I think last year we had 18, something like that, participate in that. It's a huge time commitment. It's, 3 or 4 hours. It's like every Wednesday night for 9 weeks to go over everything from how to, on the irrigation thing, weed management, how to kind of view your whole property and divide it up into a workable thing so we don't end up with a whole bunch of weedettes, as I call them.
Mm-hmm.
We also had a pollinator workshop that I didn't have any photographs on, talking about pollinators and native grass seeding. And at the same time, we did you want me to push buttons?
Yep, you just do the
Just the
down,
down arrow?
but you can't
And
see.
at that time, we were doing kind of an interview of trying to find out what our farmers and ranchers kind of want to hear about. And I'm sure you can guess the number one topic was weeds.
Mm-hmm.
And I appreciate what you guys are doing for the weeds. Wednesday or Thursday this week, day after tomorrow, I'm doing a seminar with Bonnie on reseeding and overseeding for weed control at the fairgrounds. So hopefully we'll get some participation on that. And November 18th, we've got our Southwest Ag seminar. I think it's the third one. And Lon's kind of heading that one up, bringing in some speakers.
The topic is going to be profitability in farming. We've got a guest speaker who's transformed his operation from wanting to retire to making money and having fun.
I better go to that.
Well, farming is...
I mentioned that 2 years ago. He said, not now. And we got somebody going to come and talk to us about producer co-ops. And somebody's been using the no-till method for 15 years. And somebody that's trying more cows and less crops. Probably 2 other local people to tell them what they've been trying and how they like it.
Nice.
Can you get me some information on that and we'll spread the word?
Yeah, that'd be great if we can spread the word and get...
we don't have a flyer yet, but it's November 18th.
Is the one on the no-till, are they from the Farm and Ranch Enterprises?
No, I didn't think to look there, actually.
They've been doing no-till for years.
He's just over in Utah.
Oh.
He supports himself mostly by working in Salt Lake City. The farm is near Monticello. So for him, no-till is not a hard decision.
No, they no-till down there and they burn.
Yeah.
And burn.
Mm-hmm. That's why we see that smoke every fall or spring.
I don't think Steve burns.
But, so one of the things that we did this spring is we had a booth on soil health at the Ag Expo. Suzanne spearheaded that. And I think over the 2-day period, they had like 200 kids go through this, and they kind of left with an idea on, it is important to take care of our soil and just talking about the worms and the humus and that kind of thing. And then on Saturday, there were about 75 adults that participated in a seminar on that. We also continue with the irrigation water management. It's kind of an ongoing thing of trying to get some efficiency in it, especially under the adjudicated and the MBI system. We handed out soil moisture probes, so everybody's leaning on those instead of a shovel. But going through just kind of how to, analyze, are you getting enough water down, or are you getting too much down? And getting too much down is just as detrimental as not enough. Okay, David Temple hosted 2 busloads of kids.
8th graders.
8th graders.
From Miller.
And you want
Miller High, Miller over
Middle
in Drago?
school?
Middle school.
Oh,
Middle school. came over, and you can go ahead and put your 2 cents in.
Well, it was, one bus went to the landfill, and the other came to my place, and we talked about, and then they switched. And then they actually all had lunch at our place, but we just talked about agriculture and horticulture, and actually had the kids out there touching and being involved with it and learning, and they were very attentive. Everybody got a treat at the end of the day. It was
Right.
kind of fun seeing all these kids running around with this little tree. Theirs, you know, they owned it, and so it was good buy-in.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the shot of them down at the nursery, and David's got quite a place there. Also, cover crop trials, we continue with those with CSU. I think this is, really important aspect of on this bare ground and erosion control on that. And for me, this is probably the most exciting thing of what the district has done. This is on a center pivot out in Lewis, Pleasant View area.
Is that drip?
Yeah, this is a totally experimental process that we've kind of taken on. NRCS cannot do this. It's outside their box. So we decided to fund this project. And one of the producers out there is interested enough in it that we retrofitted a third of his center pivot to try this out. It's called a dragon line system, where you're dragging drip tubing behind the pivots. Currently, under the full service area, that 28,000 acres, a lot of it doesn't classify for center pivots under NRCS guidelines. It's too steep, and we get too much water running in the tire tracks. They bog down, too much erosion. So what we're trying on this is to see if drip irrigation on a slow application rate will work. They're doing a little bit of this out on the eastern plains and some in Kansas. The University of Kansas is doing some of this. So what we did was we
How long are those lines?
Pardon?
How long are those lines?
It varies because as your center pivot turns,
That
your
way they don't
outer's
hit each
covering
other.
more. So like these lines go, I think, anywhere from like 80 feet to 150 feet long. And it was not an ideal situation because we paired this with the traditional spray. So we're kind of weighing, okay, we've got two different application rates, and so we're looking for, a best case scenario so that we don't want to have the producer sacrifice 135 acres. That's a big investment. But, we put this in, and it's actually about 2/3 of the way out the pivot. And so we're trying to balance that application rate with the sprays. The biggest thing is to, partly look at production, but look at this erosion thing. There's parts in this field that are pushing 8-9% slope, which isn't really that unusual. This is kind of looking down the pivot. You can see the sprays further on down, and it just moves on. This is on some spring wheat, and it just drags these tubes on around. This is an aerial drone shot. This is this was taken about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and we flew this from the end of the pivot, kind of circling around, and I think,
There you go.
yeah, let's see if we can get this to play. You can kind of watch this outer part is still under spray nozzles, and we suspended PVC pipe under this to feed the drip lines. So this is all spray nozzle area here. Now we're coming into where the PVC pipe is.
Mm-hmm.
This is where the drip, you can kind of see how even that crop is right there. We've got some, you can start to see the rows where the water hasn't moved sideways, and we've got to adjust the timing. But this is kind of showing that, we are getting good coverage. Everything off to the right on that is spray. And again, we're on the drip. area, and it's a real even crop. We don't have the harvest results yet from this, and here's the end of the dragon line back onto sprays.
Do you have to do that other line because of pressure reduction? Is that why?
Well, part of it is pressure reduction and part of it is filtration. And that's we got to get it filtered way down for the drip. And we did this out on the outer third, so really about a third of that field is getting the drip. And so we've got two 2-inch filters that are automatically flushing. And there's kind of some issues with what do you do with that water when it flushes, because you can't just dump it on the ground and make a big mud hole. And these are all the things we're working with, because we got to make sure we can still get a crop out of it and then try to fit in to, getting anything over this 4% slope. Because the full service farmers really want to get to the center pivot. And actually last year I think there were 2 contracts for the first time since they started. Our conservation technician that we've got initiated contacts out there for the first time. NRCS hasn't done much work out there at all. They've been too busy with the MVI stuff, but wanted to get moved out into the full service area and start working with the farmers out there. And so this is kind of the first contact and experiment we've got going. There's a lot of interest in it. Like I say, I think there were 2 center pivot contracts out there that I think are cost shared, and they're on flatter ground. But this is where we're trying to get this experiment on this steeper land. This is just a still of that. I didn't know if the video was going to play, but you can see it where the PVC pipe ends. You can see the difference in the crop.
Definite line there, isn't it?
It's a little bit distorted because we did not want a spray nozzle right at the end of the PVC. So I think one nozzle's plugged. So the first 5 feet or so, 8 feet is dry. But even after that, you can see, I think, crop difference. It's just so even on the drip. Mm-hmm. But we weren't getting quite enough water down on it. But if we put more water on the drip, we'd had too much on the spray. So, once you get to be able to convert a whole center pivot, then you can really work on your application rates. Yeah. But this is really, really interesting stuff and has so much potential for the farming out. We're working with DWCD on this, their farm advisor group, and kind of watching through it. This is at the center pivot point where we ended up having to take some of the nozzles out, the drops out, manifold those together, and what's hanging down there in the bottom, that's the filter system. And we just had to kind of temporarily suspend that PVC pipe all the way out. But we wanted to get that outer ring where we could get that faster moving circle and get more acreage in under it. But I think it's just got great potential for what's going on out there. It's going to take a couple, 3 or 4 years to work through, some of the wrinkles, and the filtration, I think, is the
key part of
the key part. Just how much algae we got.
Were you able to determine by this experiment whether you were using less water through your drip than you were using through your sprays? Might have been difficult to determine that, but you get so much evaporation and stuff with your sprays, and wind affects it so much.
Exactly.
And, you have so many effects from your spray nozzles with.
The efficiency is definitely higher, but because we were trying to balance out a spray application and a drip application, we couldn't pick the best. We had to find something in the middle.
They were both operating together, yeah.
But drip in itself, you've got a 20 or 30% water savings just because of the application method and the wind and all that. So we know the drip is more efficient. And once you can get a whole center pivot on it, then you can change that application rate. This is more to see
Speeds,
where.
sizes.
Pardon me?
Well, they didn't re-nozzle a lot of the sprays.
No,
So
it
they were
was.
putting out naturally more water than
Right.
their drift. So you could slow down on the center pivot and get more water up.
Yeah, you
Drip.
can slow it down, but we were trying to match the drip irrigation in terms of inches per hour to the same as the spray, so that they were both getting, say, 1.5 inches an hour. You know, so that we were putting the same amount of water down. It might have not been the ideal application rate, but because we wanted to make sure we could get a crop, but we wanted to see if at that application rate, you know, how that was going to work. And what we kind of found is there was not enough time to get the capillary action between the rows. The tubes are about 2 feet apart.
And you didn't get that.
And we can either change the length of that tubing. These were gallon an hour emitters. Every 2 feet, I think, on that tube. And I think they went from 80 to 100 and some feet. It was pretty amazing to see how they calculated all this out. The Dragon Line Company, they put a lot of their time in on it. You know, they came out and helped install it. They spent 3 days with the owner and Travis, the conservation technician, you know, trying to get all this installed. It was quite a process last spring. But it, you know, I think just with this first year that, you know, shows we can get a crop, and, you know, once we talked with the owner, Brian, about, you know, what he thought about how often he was having to work to clean the filters and get the harvest statistics up. He was going to go ahead and harvest those areas completely separately, and we can get the bushels out of that, and then we can start putting a lot of these pieces back together. And I think, you know, we'll have to get with, you know, the farm advisory group out there and just start, you know, talking with everybody and see, okay, how is this going to fit?
Did I understand you to say the drip lines are, the emitters are 1 gallon an hour?
Right.
But the spray heads are 1.5 gallons?
No, the spray heads are in gallons. One's gallons per hour, the other's gallons per minute.
Oh.
Sprays are in gallons per minute, and these are in gallons per hour. So the length of those tubes, we were trying to get, you know, the drops are like 8-foot centers, and you've got, you know, so many gallons per minute coming out, because it varies as you go out from the center of the pivot out to the end. That end is covering a much larger circle than the inside, so it's got to be putting out 50 times more water. So it's all calculated as you come in from the outside in, and so the drip tubing was trying to get down the same application rate for sprays, but we're just applying it differently to see if we can avoid getting those muddy tracks and bogging down the pivot. If we can keep from bogging down the pivot, then we can handle the steeper terrains. They can climb the slopes. There's no problem there. It's just getting them
where they're not
bearing. You've seen the ruts out there.
Oh yeah.
And so that's kind of what we're working with. Interesting stuff. I think.
They quit.
We're stuck. I guess we'll have to go home now.
You got stuck. Huh?
Yeah, we got stuck. We're done.
That thing got
Actually,
stuck.
that's the last slide.
That's fine.
There we
That's
go.
why it got
Yeah.
stuck. Yeah.
But, you know, like I say, this is kind of some of the things the Conservation District's doing. We've got some other projects going, but I just wanted to kind of give you a feel of what's going on. And like I say, we really appreciate the support you've given us. This kind of makes all this stuff happen.
And you look at that field lately, tell the difference.
Pardon me?
Have you looked at that field lately?
I flew my drone on that like a month ago. And I haven't, and Brian was going to harvest it, I think around the 1st. And I haven't been back, and I haven't heard what the harvest characteristics. It was spring wheat, and so I'm sure it's just all flattened down. It's all that high right now.
Be interesting to see what his production is.
Yeah, I think, see what the yield is, and the yield isn't as important right now. We can get the yield to where we want to be, but it's the water efficiency and being able to deal with the steeper slopes. Because then we can start working on, getting what they call a targeted proposal out there with NRCS, where they'll take a whole area and say, okay, this is a target area, and it could be like the entire full service area, that they can put hundreds of thousands of dollars to, and they don't have to compete for those dollars the same way they do as an individual. That area has a higher priority, and that's this is all government speak, but it's trying to get that as a targeted proposal so we can lump that whole area together, and then there's be a lot better chance to get some more cost share money out there. And these people that are moving in 18, 20 side rolls, that's a full day job. So
absolutely.
That's about all I've got. Do you guys have anything to add? I must have been all right.
Got some good stuff going.
Off topic, but you two. 4 of our trees lost their leaves at the courthouse just as soon as week after they planted them. They're saying that they'll be coming back. What is your guys' opinion of those trees living?
I'd have to take a look at them.
Yeah, I have to look at
They
are they in the lawn?
Get drought stressed and drop foliage and then come back. A little late in the year right now for them to leaf out again because they won't be able to go dormant in time. So you might get some winter freeze injuries with them.
Well, this is at the new courthouse.
Yeah, they said they have a guarantee. We didn't want to be out for trees.
Right. Well, I'm happy to go and poke around. Am I allowed in that construction site?
Yes.
Hard hat on.
Open Monday for business.
Oh, it is?
A week from today.
Well, I'm happy to take a look, and if they're going to turn around, then you don't have to hurt the guy who put them in, but he's got a guarantee.
Right.
You might just wait until next spring to see
what that. So,
still have your guarantee, I was told.
Yeah.
Well, they told we have one tree planted underneath, a tree that grows 40 feet. They planted it underneath a 12-foot roof.
If he
No, it's
goes
still there.
to look and they poke around.
Well, but then they said they were going to transplant it, and
They give
you
you
guys
trouble.
Usually, they're not going to transplant that tree.
Yeah.
That's the magic card.
I don't know if it's.
Will that get us in the building too?
I don't think you can get into the building, but you can look at. He wants.
But are you guys going to be there in
Probably not. Our grand opening for it is the 11th of October. The courts are moving in this week, and they're going to be starting business out there starting Monday. So,
all right.
So they're getting in there.
That went pretty quick.
That's good.
I don't know.
You don't think so?
I'm not sure I agree, but
Well,
come on, Melissa.
It depends on which end of that project you're on.
Yeah. So.
Okay, well, I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Ron, there you go.
Interesting stuff.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have our sheriff for the monthly report. Sheriff Nowlin.
Morning, Steve.
How are you?
Good, you?
Good.
Good.
Hi, sure.
Steve. Hi, John.
Good morning.
Back.
I'm back.
She didn't get in the hurricane either.
Stayed out of the hurricane.
Yeah. Good.
I'm trying to breathe.
Hurricane Harvey.
That was Texas.
That's your maiden name also.
Yeah, I know.
Family member down there raising cane in Texas, yeah.
Well, just briefly, I wanted to just make it kind of quick. I know that this month we assisted last week, Bonnie Loving, with the weed department and the enforcement of your resolutions that you put out on those properties.
Everything went okay?
Yeah,
Good.
there wasn't
Good
any
deal.
problems. Yeah. I figured you were all holding your breath. But yeah.
John may have been, I wouldn't.
Yeah, well, we'll smooth it over. It's no problem at all. we met with, trying to get geared up with the new combined court building and the judges and whatnot.
Saw you out there testing the security stuff.
Yeah, the X-ray machine. We had to go through training on that. So, which is, I mean, it seems like it'll go faster for people.
Yeah, one of your deputies out there said that was the best equipment he'd ever seen in his life.
Yeah,
He
I
said
mean, it's pretty revealing there.
Yeah.
And it saves time. It just takes a lot of training this week to get everybody up to speed with it.
So now, how many you're only going to have? How many officers you going to have there running the security there coming in the court?
There's two at the front door. Yeah.
So
I still don't know where the monitoring center is at because it's
The
not there. Yeah, for the security monitors. And
Oh.
that's still not there. It was supposed to be. It seems to have changed now. It's still not there yet. So, but in my meeting with the judges, and what I've been working with Jim McLean and the state on is for video arraignments. The less transports that we have to that facility, the better. It's going to save time and money, and it makes it safer. So the cart, from what I understand, they were working on that last week. They should have everything up and running sometime this week to be tested. The judges are on board for arraignments to be held by video there at the detention center.
Great.
I think there's still some issues about defense attorneys where they want to be or where they're going to be, whether they're in the courtroom or if they're actually there in the facility with their clients. So.
These are the first advisors when they get arrested.
Right. What's nice about this too is that I'm looking at large cost savings for transports from out of the area to be brought for arraignment. Because this system connected with the state system goes to all judicial districts and those jails. And so it'd be nice not to transport somebody when the judge can actually do an advisement by video. That's what I'm looking for, is a lot of cost savings with this. So let's just keep our fingers crossed that it works the way that we'd like it to. It'll be smoother and easier, and it'll save us a lot of money.
And a lot of personnel
and a lot of time.
My gosh,
that's the thing. And a lot of travel time. And so anything that I can do to reduce those, that's what we're working on.
Yeah.
So, but the courtroom security grant is due, and you'll be seeing those come out. I'm going to request 4. I requested 3 last year, got 2. Request 4, and let's hope I get something. Okay.
That's pretty good. You get 2/3 out of not bad.
Right now it's split, but the thing is that we've got to do something to help with that, with personnel. There's a lot of state funds that can be drawn to us, and that's what I want. We also have the gaming grant that I'll be presenting to that board next Monday. They've changed several times their formula of how they award those grants to the different gaming impact counties and agencies. So now they're going by a cost per call. And really it's to our benefit because of the work that we've done over the last 2 years and redefining those costs per call that are gaming related. And it's very accurate. If that's the case, we should be getting a whole lot more money that will actually help with that detention center as well. I don't know how this will work this year, but that's my hopes. That's what we're told. And that our original grant request, this is almost, if you go by cost per call, it's almost triple that amount. So, So I don't know how they'll divvy that up, but Montezuma County should be getting a whole lot more in their gaming funds than what we've been getting.
Okay.
And so we'll hopefully this will be the fair way to do it. We'll see what happens, and I'll let you know. Generally, those are awarded sometime in latter part of October and in November. So for the year, for the following year.
You already have your grant, your application in?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I'll present that. Just let you know, did you get the list of the sheriff's fees and whatnot
Yeah.
that I sent out?
Yeah.
Okay.
This one right, where am I?
I don't know where you're at.
This
Do you
one right
have
here?
that, Melissa?
This one right here?
Yeah. That's it.
Those are the costs that are allowed by statute that we collect. And those go into the general fund as well. So this month there was a total of $60,272.91. That was deposited, and the amount of civil processing and whatnot for the month, along with tickets, fingerprints, concealed weapons permits, those funds that were collected from the cities for inmate costs, $40,499.95.
What is that number per day? I'm trying to, because I thought you had sent us something else.
54, the state went up to $54.39. We're still at $50 for the municipalities, and I'd like to go ahead and get your permission to send a letter requesting that everybody pays the same. That's a good idea, and it should be.
If you did that, I mean, at this point, so you're effective such and such a date, first of the year, or?
However you would want.
Why wait?
Right.
I can do it
Especially
October.
when our cost is, what, 60?
It's still the same, but anywhere from $64 to $67.
Yeah.
Maybe politely remind them or let them know that in your letter.
That's what I would do. I would say
Oh, yeah.
our actual cost for housing these prisoners are $67.85 a day. We are increasing you to $54, but we're still
The
subsidizing.
minimum of 54, however, they're welcome to pay the full amount.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You want to do the math? You're welcome to pay the full cost of your prison.
Why am I not surprised you thought of that? Okay. Yeah, I can get that.
Let's go with the timing. What do you guys think of the last? Or what do
I'd
you
say next week.
Next week.
How often do you
October
pay?
1.
Is it they pay
Once a month, yeah.
Yeah.
So if you start October 1st, it'd be the
start
fourth
out
quarter.
October.
Yeah. Okay. And as you can see, what the total cost of our inmates were, it's like $151,000. So, I mean, it's a lot. Unfortunately, we had 198 arrests just in the month of August, and those don't ever seem to go down. They seem to go up. And
You had 198 arrests in the month of August?
yeah. Yeah. I'm telling you. Crime is there. Okay.
That's 6 a day.
But without pretrial, it would be a whole lot more in that detention facility. So, what I did want to pitch to you real quick is a full body scanner that we're looking into, and here's a copy of the PowerPoint.
You sent us that,
Real quick.
Steve, didn't you?
I sent you a letter,
not
that kind of explains some of the program, but I wanted to make sure that you had those here. And in
Is
there-
this for the jail? Is this?
This is for the detention center. In there is supports. Now, keep in mind that this is just I just want you to be aware of.
You have one more for Commissioner Sukla?
Oh,
Right here. This one?
yeah, it's an empty one. And I have one for you. This is new technology that's been out there, and what's nice about it is that a lot of detention centers are going to this because it makes it safer for both the inmate and the staff. You catch more things, but as we'll go through on this, I'll show you that
It's right.
Oh,
You just
okay.
have, here's the down arrow.
oh,
You can't see it.
down. it can actually help reduce any injuries or deaths that we have in the facility because of contraband being introduced. Now, I'll let you know, I was going to bring this in, but the subject that was arrested for the double homicide in Arizona that we had, that was from up Duck Creek, he was able to, and we haven't quite figured this out yet, was able to cut a piece of a bed frame and had that hidden. And so I'm glad that he was extradited when he did, or we would have had a serious problem. The problem is we don't have enough to go in and do jail shakedowns, the cell shakedowns and searches on a regular basis. So
You don't have enough what? Enough staff?
staff to do that, yeah, on a regular basis. Mainly because of the courts going on, everything that's going on in transports and bookings and bondings that go on constantly. So they can only do them a certain amount per day or per week. So this is something that actually helps, and I've seen this work very well. That it only takes just a short, brief walkthrough in this. It'll tell you exactly what a person has. This is what an inmate in a jail that using this Surpass. Now there's many different body scanners out there. This one is by far the best, and it's more affordable than the others, and it's much more accurate, and it's accepted by the state as far as the radiation that is put out. Okay, it's very, very minimal, but yet you can see that this is not uncommon about what people bring and secreted upon their persons. Now, without this, and we have had numerous times where we've had to take inmates because we've learned that they are bringing contraband into the facility that you can't find in a regular pat down or body search. The scanner does it, and that's what's real nice about it. The other thing is it also has a positive, where this male inmate was found in there. It searches organic material as well. He had a large growth in his esophagus. It was a tumor and cancerous, and he was taken to the medical facility because of this, and because they found this on their screening, and it actually saved this person's life in getting proper medical treatment for him. So it can work well, but it makes it safer for our facility. And I'll shoot you a copy of this PowerPoint too, so that you have it. The CTSI notice that you sent out.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we already have those protocols, but they look at things like this, and I'll tell you, hoping that this will actually help in reducing insurance costs as well, having this type of technology. We can ask and find out. But these are the many things that it can find and recover, keeping the facility safer, the other inmates safe, as well as the staff. This is a knife that was found in, you find all kinds of things, needles. It's kind of disgusting, so I'm sorry to gross everybody out, but these are the things that can be seen and found just by walking in. That is the actual device itself, and you just walk up onto it and through it, and that's pretty much it. The amount of X-ray or radiation that is transmitted is the same thing where first you eat 2 bananas. You're not getting any more than that. What's nice about it is that this software is connected to this X-ray body scanner, and that the inmates it goes onto their inmate records as well, and it will only allow for a certain amount of scannings per person in a given year. If they've been in and out of this thing too many times, it won't do it. Okay, so that it actually protects a person from being exposed to more than 2 bananas. Okay, so That's
There's radiation in the bananas, huh?
very small, you bet. Yeah. So,
I didn't either.
so with this, there's training and certification that has to go along with this. The biggest thing is that it has to be approved by the state and the health department as far as their the radiation, because it's no different than the X-ray machine that's out here at the new combined core. That has to be certified and inspected every year. Okay. And this is one of the machines that are on the market that we're not looking at. It's not cost effective. You can see that they're well over $200,000. This is about $190,000. We're looking at. We've been researching for grant funding to help pay for this, or at least a large portion of it. The problem is that we don't have, most of the counties in the state of Colorado don't meet the national uniform crime reporting levels like major cities. Denver would, the rest of us don't. And so that puts us behind this technology that's available. And that's why the federal government won't grant fund for those unless it's in a high crime and a high usage facility, such as your federal prisons and like Denver County Jail. But we're still working on it, and I'm working on legislators and congressmen to help assist us in coming up with some funding dollars to pay for this. But these are this is the domestic law enforcement supporters for this. In your packet is support from all the judges. The one that's not in there is from Judge Walker, as well as Congressman Tipton, and his office is really doing a lot to help us try to find some funding. So I just wanted to bring this to you, and I'll shoot this PowerPoint to you so that you can go through it.
I saved it, so
okay,
I
good.
got it.
Okay. That's it.
And are you wanting to do this like in your budget next year, or what do you?
I'd like to, but I want to hope that I can find some money that will help reduce the amount that I would ask for from the county. Yes. 197,000. Its lifespan is good for like 30 or 40 years, so long as the work it is actually inspected, and with that includes the warranty work too. If anything breaks on it, they come and fix it. That's why the cost is up there a little higher. But it's good for 30 to 40 years, so long as it's maintained. And if it's not maintained and have an annual inspection, it can't be used.
And the software which takes pictures. What do we do with the pictures once? Obviously the deputies look at the pictures and decide whether or not we need to do further searches, cavity searches.
Right.
Right. Are these things all saved?
They can be for a certain period of time, but it would fall within our retention period schedule that we already have. So it'd be 190 days. That'd be it. And the thing is about it is that having a picture of a person, an inmate that's been in the facility and on one day, and then 30 days later, they're in again. If you see something different, that could be something it's actually gonna alert you to. So that's kind of neat technology to have.
So they would keep the one from a month earlier, and then they would look at them both.
It's just under that person's.
Oh.
Yep, under that person's name. Yeah. Yeah. Because it keeps track of how many times a person goes through that, and when they've been through it too much, it won't work. So it protects people as well. So many rads in a year. That's all you get. Okay. I can't tell you what goes on with all of us everywhere we travel. I don't know. But anyway, that's all I have. I've got lots to do to get ready for this combined court opening.
Good. We want you to be ready.
Yeah, I want to be ready too.
Your
I don't-
next door
I can't-
neighbor, you
I'm
better
not
be a good
I'm
neighbor.
not guaranteeing anything.
You better be a
okay?
good neighbor, buddy.
When are they gonna have those?
They better be. What's that?
Those holding cells, they're doing some work to those. When are they gonna have those ready for you?
The what?
The holding cell.
The holding cells?
They have to fix some things.
They do. They do. They better be done this week.
Oh, I was not.
Was that for the security screen and the?
It's
and the
got to be
bench?
done this week. Yeah. Can't put them in there unless it's ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they're gonna have it ready, but I don't know. I mean, it's not my.
That's the issue that I've been dealing with. So we'll see. Do the best we can with what we got.
Well, I mean.
If you're not able to hold them there, do you just have to
I
do
just
more
have to
transports?
transport them back.
Right, I mean, we don't have holding cells right now. We just bring them right into the jury room.
Right.
Right, so we can do that.
You can do that.
Can do that. I'm just hoping that the video conferencing is up and running. That's really my big push right now. Is that the other stuff we can deal with.
You've got the facilities in your office.
Yes, yes. The county IT has already. Jim McLean's already got all the wiring, all of the fiber optics. Everything is there. We're just waiting for the state to finish their part and the connection to it. So it's really up to the state, and they're supposed to be here. They better be here today. They better be working on it while I'm talking, so we can get it going. We need to make sure that it's up and running, and in each one of the courtrooms. So I know that the TVs are there. They just hadn't been installed last week anyway.
Sheriff, do you know why you take them into the secure area? The fencing is set up to keep people from getting in and not out. Is that?
It's both for no one to get out or in during that in that hallway.
No, I mean
the gate.
the perimeter fence.
Oh,
Outside.
The outside perimeter fence.
yeah. Well, it's supposed to keep them in.
But isn't it the top leaning the wrong way then?
And
And
we
I
were
told him that when they were
we
putting
told
it
him
up.
that too, and Eric said that's how he wanted it designed.
But if it's to keep them in,
Yeah.
that doesn't make any sense.
No, sir. No, sir. I brought it up to them when they were doing it.
So do we.
I think it needs to get fixed. I really do, because it's not right.
Well, you might as well not even have the thing leaning up there.
There you
because
go.
that's-
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
just is crazy.
You have more pull with that than I do. So
Do you know what his theory is?
I have no idea. I don't have a clue. In fact, just when they started that project, I was over there, and I explained to them that it's pointing the wrong way. It's supposed to go in, not out. They said, "Well, that's what the plan said." It's like, that's not right. So
I think it's wrong. I mean, all you got to do is
It's
look
wrong.
over across the street at your facility
yeah,
and see which
look
way it's
at
pointing.
it. Okay, yeah,
I mean,
it's to
it's-
keep people in there, not out. Yeah, yeah. Oh well.
I think it's screwed up.
I agree with you. Maybe we can get it fixed. Maybe we can't. I don't know.
Yeah. We don't have secure here, so yeah, I mean, it's, I think it's probably a
sorry.
very minor situation.
Oh yeah. To other things, you're right.
Yeah.
It's just, it's sad that there wasn't somebody there that was protecting Montezuma County to say, hey, are you kidding me?
Yes, sir. I agree with you. I
Anyway.
agree with you.
All right. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
I'm writing an email right now. So.
Okay. Thanks.
And we have on the agenda, last but not least, we have some celebrities in the room.
Celebrity?
Well,
Did the governor show up?
That is until everybody gets their tax bill, and then maybe that's
They might really be celebrities then. Good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Morning.
Are you going to bring them up?
They can look in. Yeah. You guys can come up.
Oh, yeah. Come on up.
Introduce them too to,
Yeah,
the,
we need
to
to-
the audience.
And introduce yourself too, actually, again. I'm sure most people here know who you are.
I'm Leslie Bug, Montezuma County Assessor. This is one of my new appraisers, Travis Greenlee, and my other, Joanne Good. Hi. We're happy to have them.
Welcome aboard.
Hi, Joanne.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I did. I have those.
I don't know what that's but Johnny's looking at
How you doing, Travis?
How you doing?
I have them here. Do we want to send
Well,
it to him to look at?
glad to have you guys. I think Leslie feels very, quite fortunate to have you two apply for the jobs over there.
I've learned a lot in a few days.
We were excited to hear that
scrambling
you
going
guys
on.
were going to be working on it.
Today, but is this the same stuff we looked at? We
Pretty
discussed?
much. I had to redo it, the whole thing, but it's got the same information in it.
I'll look at it again, but I did look at a previous version of the process.
Okay.
So an update on what's going on in the assess or the appraiser side is they have learned how to do sales confirmation. They're working on it. I mean, they've gotten us caught up a lot already. They're going
Great.
to start going out in the field next week.
Great. That's
So-
even better.
Yep, we're excited.
Good
They're
deal.
catching on quickly. Very
Good
happy.
deal.
So, just here to give you an update on the resolution that was issued to do the revaluation of the residential, commercial, and ag lands.
Mm-hmm.
So, sure. So I gave you 16's value, what it was in the last tax year, what the incorrect value was on May 1st, and what we've corrected it to now.
No, it lost.
There it is.
Here we go.
Okay, 120.
That's
Whoa, I
quite a
don't know
bit.
what's changing. Yeah, so the residential is where I knew we had our, well, residential and ag is where I knew we had our biggest problems going into this. And you can tell what we've corrected it to. And, you know, I feel really good about the values. We got notice from the state auditor that we actually passed our audit,
Did you go?
which we were
Good.
not.
Good.
Until Zane and I pulled this off, we were in non-compliance with every section of our
Oh,
audit. So if we wouldn't have fixed this and got this done, the state would probably be on its way down at our expense to fix our numbers for us.
Mhm. Good for
So
you.
we got
So
that.
what you're saying here is in this particular case, from the original notification that they got as
In May,
residential, that went out at 135 million, and it should have been 127. So you're sending out new ones at 127.
And our residential's down a little bit, or I mean our commercial's down a little bit. That needs some looking into a little closer. The numbers are correct. I don't think we have all of our commercial
All of them
properties
listed,
picked
all
up.
of them picked up, yeah.
So that's something I'll have to work on this next year. And then our ag went down, and I gave you a per irrigated, sprinkler irrigated, the price. And I don't know if you've ever looked at one of our abstracts, but there's 4 to 6 different classifications within a classification of ag. So I just did an average of each class. So you can see the flood irrigated went down to $8.16 an acre from $8.51. Irrigated sprinkler down from, well, it was $9.65 down to $7.38, and that was hugely to do with the fuel prices and the correct information on the sprinklers, the center pivots. None of that was in there yet. I brought the Montezuma Valley irrigation back in. That was gone. So, I mean, there was lots of things in the sprinkler irrigation that needed a lot of help.
Leslie, how come the flood irrigation would have a higher taxable value than a
Because there's more
sprinkler?
expenses to go against the sprinkler irrigated, because you have your sprinkler and your fuel to go against the cost of per acre price. And then the dry farm went up from what we had it at before. The wrong fence price was in there. So in the ag report, you have a higher fence expense in the irrigated land than you do in the dry land because your fence is getting wet and
They last
deteriorating
longer.
faster. So he had put the same price in both areas. So that's what the increase for that was. And then on the dry graze, the per acre per cow price was incorrect on that also, so I had to fix that. So other than that, that's all good. The ag passed also, so every section of the reval passed. I was pretty excited when I got that phone call, let me tell you. The dry farm, there's just not a lot of expenses, and that's somewhere I'm going to in the next year is try and get with a lot of the individual farmers and get some better ideas of our information that we have. Hasn't been done, you know, I mean, our prices and stuff, we're just call co-op and find out what it costs for a gallon of pesticide or, you know, something like that. We need to
So
do,
what that says is the cost inputs on dry farm are a lot less than they are on irrigated or
Yeah.
flood irrigated land.
Yep, and so it's just going to come down to doing a little better homework before the report gets done.
Is there information you can request people to send? I mean, as we get better at that, asking people that information that may make this more accurate?
And what I'm going to do is Joy from Dolores County, she's got it down. She's really good with this, and she's going to help me. It sends to the farmers every year, not every 2 years, because like she said, you probably don't remember what happened last year when I send you all this information. So she sends out her questionnaires every year.
Every year.
So I'm going to start when she gets going next in 2018. I'm going to get on board with her, and we're going to start. And you have to do the same amount per class, you know, same amount of farmers
Same
per class.
number per class.
Say 5, you have to do 5 in every single one.
Yeah.
And then just have a better understanding of what's really going on.
Good.
Will she let you use her questionnaire?
Yep.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yep.
She's already been
She's
there.
the one that helped me get the right, because we had the state here in 2015, I believe, and they were down, actually in the downstairs over in the other building. And we went over everything, and we had, the three, La Plata, Dolores, and our county kind of came to an agreement on what we were going to use for fuel prices and electricity and all of that stuff to run all the sprinklers, and then that just got thrown out for the May evaluation. But she was able to help me get those numbers back and put it back into the spreadsheet, and that's what helped so much. So, yep.
Wow. Thank God.
Yeah. Thank God it's right.
We were heading for a bigger train wreck than we ever imagined, weren't we?
Yes.
Wow.
So, going to be sending out about 8,120 notices, so that it all works out. I have one to send around. John, is it okay if I let them see what we're going to send out? Okay.
The wording, protest procedure, or the other
So the
part?
protest procedures is going to be on the back side. It's going to be a one-page notice, but it's a front and back. And we won't be able to mail those out until October 5th to coincide with the special session we're having and still give them their ability to appeal to the BAA. They'll still have plenty of time to get all that done if they're still not happy. So we're going to hold those. We're getting them printed and folded, and we're going to stuff in our office.
This special session we're having is
October
20th. From 9:30 to 4:30 is the hours I put on there. Yeah.
And so
What do you expect?
Well, Melissa and I talked, and I think we're going to contact the ones that didn't get to have their CBO hearing the first time and see if any of those would like, you know, kind of a first come situation. And then we'll just see. I don't know. I know, you know, and especially in the residential, a lot went down and some went up though, you know, I mean, to make it fair. It had to be adjusted back and forth.
Yeah.
So we'll see, you know, some people might not. And plus, with the 7.2%, which is kind of a help for us right now with what the circumstances are.
It's a hurt for us.
It's a hurt,
Yeah,
but
it's
it
a
helps.
hurt, but it helps, yeah.
In this situation,
Yeah.
I mean, to fix our,
Yeah, it's gonna
it is a
be-
hurt for the county, but in this particular situation, it kind of makes it a little easier to explain to people. But I
And
feel
did
really
you
good
say
about
that,
it.
was it like $500,000?
500. That's what we kind of
That's
put
what
the
they're-
numbers to.
54, I believe, down due to oil and gas and the residential rate.
54 million at our 10.38 mills came up to about $500,000 to the county, to county general.
So, and then that would affect all the other mills, so.
Everybody.
Or
Oh, yeah,
everybody.
yeah, all of them are gonna take a hit.
Yep.
The school district is the biggest, and then us, and then I don't know who the next.
We have
Hospital.
some the hospital, but even like,
I think it's about $100,000 to them.
I think the Cortez Fire District is a 5, so they're over 5, they're 9. So they're, you know, there's quite a few of them that are.
Yeah, they're gonna see them.
I think that's about all I Anything else you wanted to ask? Any questions about it?
You guys catching on good?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have some good teachers.
You know,
But
that-
I have to say, it's pretty amazing to step in when you were on the upside of this. So I can imagine what the last 3 months have been like for the two people over there. They have been busy. So I feel like I'm coming in at the mountaintop.
Yeah. She's cleared away a lot of the roughage around the operation the last month or so.
Yeah, it's been.
How long you guys been over there now?
A week.
A week?
They still
Well,
like it. They want
they
to come
haven't
back
cut and
every
run
day.
yet, they haven't cut and run yet.
I go over every night. Coming back tomorrow?
Will I see you in the morning?
Yeah.
We have ways to get you back.
Yeah, well,
The
good.
sheriff works for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm really enjoying it.
Good. Well, we're sure you'll do a
Excited.
good job and be a big benefit to that office, and it needs some good, solid people in it. And
We're excited about the training.
Yeah.
That'll
Good.
be soon, and
Good.
that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, their original class that was supposed to be next week got canceled, so they're going to Colorado Springs in October to take their intro to assessment.
Yeah.
And that's the first class you have to take to be able to start taking any of your licensing classes. You have to have that one out of the way and pass it before you can go on with the rest of your
How
stuff.
long does that take? That class, is it a week?
It's just
or
4 days.
4 days?
Yeah, so leave on a Sunday and come back on Friday. And then starting, however they feel and what their thoughts are, they can start taking their licensing classes sometime next
So
year.
they have them scheduled throughout the state here and there.
Yep. We usually try to go to the ones in Grand Junction because they're closer, but they weren't going to have an intro to assessment until next year sometime in Grand Junction. So,
Oh, so you need to get it
I
done.
wanted to get it done, yeah. And that class just kind of brings it all into perspective
That's
and
the-
makes it all make sense a little
The,
better.
the launch pad.
Yep, it's exactly.
Good. Well, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Fun.
Well, the notices will go out the 5th of October.
Good.
Okay. We'll keep our fingers
Thanks,
crossed.
Leslie.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks. All right, at this time, we will adjourn for lunch.
Well, that's pretty cut and dried. Let's vote on that.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.